Hello everyone. So recently Vision IAS has released its PT365 Environment magazine. And now basically it covers the current affairs for UPSC Prelims 2026. And it covers the current affairs from the duration of April 2025, April 2025 till November 2025. Now again the topics in magazine are arranged according to the themes, like biodiversity is one such theme. But this is a compilation video of monthly current affairs of environment section. Now if you are going to cover this monthly current affairs section, then you will not face any problem in covering Vision IAS PT365. In fact, if you will follow this series properly, you will not have to cover any other shows. So let me specify how we are going to proceed. So for each subject, for example for environment, I'm going to release 3 video, 1, 2 and 3. Now what will be there in each section? In first section it will have current affairs from April 25, that is 2025, till November 2025. Then in second part there will be current affairs from December 2025 till April 2026. And then in third part I'm going to cover certain topics which are not covered in Vision IAS or which are not covered in these two parts. So you can rely on it completely. If you will follow this, I can assure you your current affairs problem is sorted. But you will have to revise it multiple times because in case of environment, it is more of factual information. Of course, conceptual part is also there, but factual information carries significant weightage. So that is how we are going to proceed. Now let's start. Just a second. And one more thing, the PDF of this entire lecture is available on the Civils Academy app. I will provide the link in the description box. You can get the PDF from there. Okay. For each video the PDF will be freely available. I have arranged it in such a way so that you can revise it easily. Plus I have tried to add a lot of pictures so that you have better retention. See, merely providing you information is not the goal. I can bombard you with information, but you won't be able to retain that. So the objective is to simplify the concept and to provide you the most important part of the information so that you are not overburdened. Okay, now let's start. One more thing, if this video is helpful for you, please use the hype feature which is given in the YouTube so that YouTube understand that this content is useful for you. It will recommend to more UPSC students. Okay, now let's start. First is related to this Al Jaf region. So this is a region in Saudi Arabia. Why it was in news? Because of the snowfall. So it recorded the snowfall. In a very simple sense, why it is such a unique thing that it became in news? Because that's a desert area. In that there was a snowfall. Now this is a map of Saudi Arabia, and this is capital, and this is Al Jaf region. This is UAE, and this is Qatar, Persian Gulf, Iran. This particular location is very important. A question can be there from mapping point of view, which we will cover in the geography as well. Apart from that, we will also cover the places in news. Okay. Next is related to ecocentric. Now understand, 3 terms are there. One is ecocentric. Ecocentric basically means environment centric. Second is anthropocentric. Anthropocentric basically means human centric. And then there is a biocentric. Biocentric basically means living centric or life centric. So life can be in the form of human beings, life can be in the form of animals, marine organisms and all that. Okay. Now over a period of time, the interpretation of Article 21 has changed. Initially it was anthropocentric, that is human centric. Over a period of time it became the ecocentric, that is environment centric. That means combining human and environment together. So why it was in news? Because of this forest region, that is Kachagachi Bauli. So basically it is in Telangana. There was a protest against it. The main dispute was that the students of University of Hyderabad, They were protesting that government is trying to cut these trees, and that's why the petition was filed in the court. Subsequently, court said that the state government need to protect these kind of forest. So a, you need to know that this forest area is situated in which state. So it is in Telangana. Rest everything is quite common. So this is the newspaper cutting. You need to understand the entire controversy. I have already explained that 400 acre in Kachagachi Bauli does not belong to University of Hyderabad. This is a statement by Telangana government. So this was quite green area, and why the state government was cleaning it for development basically. Okay, in this context, there is one more important fact, that is Ecuador recently became the first country in the world to recognize the right of nature, and they have specified these rights in the constitution itself. So, in a very simple sense, the environmental part is now included in the constitution itself. So, it can be asked as a question because it became the first such country to do so. Next is related to classification of industries. See, based on the pollution, industries are classified into different categories. For example, red industries are those industries which emit a lot of carbon or which are very polluting industries. White industries are those which do not pollute. As per new classification, a new category has been added, that is blue industries, which is covering the essential services. So you need to understand what is the nature of the qualification. So these are the types: red, orange, green, white, and blue. Blue basically is new introduced category. So red industries are highly polluting, orange is medium, green is low, white is non-polluting industries, and then there is a blue. Blue is new entry, but it is for essential environmental services. For example, waste management facilities or sewage or treatment plants. Okay. Now, the duration for the red category is 10 years. Blue category is new category and it has been given longer validity. The state government through SPCB, sorry, State Pollution Control Board, and central government through Central Pollution Control Board implement these guidelines. So, what is CPCB? It is Central Pollution Control Board. It is a statutory body which is set up under Water Act, and it is given power under Air Act as well. And it is under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. You need to remember the acts because they can directly ask you under which act it was set up and subsequently given power. Next is related to Input Resource Center. Understand it this way. Uh, Input for farmers. What are the input for farmers? For example, seed is there, fertilizer is there. These are the input for farmer. Now, what we are trying to do through these bio input resource center, farmer is using, let's say, chemical fertilizers. So instead of chemicals, we are trying to promote organic items. And how we are going to provide organic items to the farmer? With the help of these input centers. In a very simple sense, these centers will provide input to the farmers, and these inputs are going to be bio inputs. So this is under National Mission on Natural Farming. Natural farming basically means we are trying to promote natural practices. We don't want to use chemical fertilizers. So they will provide biological alternative to the chemical fertilizer. In case of organic farming, remember one thing: Sikkim is the first fully organic state of our country. Organic farming basically means we are going to use organic fertilizers. Next is related to functional de-extinction. See, every organism play a role. That is the function of that organism. Now, some organism have become extinct over a period of time. So what we are trying to do, we cannot bring them back. Of course, we cannot. But what we can do is we can revive the role played by them. That is basically referred as a functional de-extinction. The opposite of extinction will be de-extinction. So we are trying to revive the role played by them. That is the concept of functional de-extinction. Why it was in use? Because recently Colossal Bioscience, they claimed that they have done world's first successful functional de-extinction of what? Of the wolf. In a very simple sense, they have tried to revive the role played by the wolf. So, what is the objective? Objective is to revive the ecological role. How they have done it? Using gene editing. What are the tools for gene editing? CRISPR Cas9 is there, cloning, genome mapping are the basic tools. Next is green municipal bond. Understand the concept of bond. Let's say I need to borrow money, and I'm borrowing money from you. So in this case, you are lender, I'm borrower. Now I'm going to give it in writing that I'm borrowing this much amount of money. I will pay you this much interest, and after this much time, I'm going to pay you the principal amount. This is basically this piece of paper on which I'm going to give it in writing. That is referred as bond. Now, if I'm borrowing money for environment friendly project, that is referred as a green bond. So, bond issued for environment friendly project, that is referred as a green bond. If it is issued by some government backed authority, that is referred as sovereign green bond. Sovereign basically means backed by government. Green basically means we are referring to environment friendly project. Okay. So recently, Ghaziabad issued India's first certified green municipal bond. Why the term green? Because they are going to use this money for the tertiary sewage treatment plant. Green bond basically means are the mechanism to borrow money for low carbon projects. Next is related to the Simlipal Tiger Reserve. So recently, Odisha notified Simlipal Tiger Reserve as its largest national park, and the first national park of Odisha is Bhitarkanika. Okay, now understand the boundary of the national park can be changed only after the recommendation of NBWL. What is NBWL? National Board for Wildlife. It is under Prime Minister. So this National Board for Wildlife, this is under Prime Minister. Next is Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary. So understand this is in Madhya Pradesh. Now, India have received cheetahs from various African countries. We are trying to revive them. So they were introduced in Kuno National Park. But if we are going to concentrate them at one place, there is a risk of disease. That if there will be disease, they all will be adversely impacted. That's why we are separating them, and we are basically ensuring that they are staying at different locations. For that, recently, this Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary was in news. So, as a part of a cheetah project, we have received cheetah from African countries, and they are basically staying in this Kuno National Park. So, from which countries we have received cheetah? So, we have received cheetah from Namibia, from South Africa, and with Botswana, we are still working out. Means we are trying to get it from them as well. Now, this Gandhi Sagar, this is near Chambal, basically. Okay. Next is IBCA. What is IBCA? International Big Cat Alliance. So this is basically for the conservation of the cat species, or for example, lion, tiger, all these. Why it was in news? Because recently its first meeting was organized. The headquarter of IBCA is in Delhi, and in the context of tiger and this big cat varieties conservation, there is a St. Petersburg Declaration of 2010. Now coming to IBCA, sorry, NTCA and NBWL. What is NTCA? National Tiger Conservation Authority. So it is set up under Wildlife Protection Act. It was set up in 2006. It is a statutory body under Environment Ministry. Who is chairperson? This is quite important. So it is under Environment Minister. As far as National Board for Wildlife is concerned, this is also under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, and it was set up in 2003. It is also under Ministry of Environment, but it is chaired by the Prime Minister of our country. So that is a major difference between NTCA and National Board for Wildlife. Next is Global Geopark Network. What are geopark? Understand? Geopark are those areas which have unique geographical landscape. So it is an initiative of UNESCO. As of now, in our country, there are no global geopark sites. So recently it was in news because 16 new sites across different countries were added. What is geopark? It is a geological heritage. Now, please remember that India do not have any UNESCO Global Geopark. X is related to Surat emission trading scheme. The emission trading basically means if you are going to cut down your emission, you are emitting less than your specified limit, then you can sell the remaining limit. For example, in a oversimplification sense, if you are allowed to emit 100 units and you emitted only 78, so 22 are remaining, you can sell those 22. For that, you need some kind of place where you can sell them. That is basically referred as the uh, trading exchange. So recently, Surat became the world's first market for trading particulate matter emission. Next is net zero framework for global shipping. See, global shipping basically means shipping through waterways in a very simple sense, transportation through water. And the target is to achieve net zero. What is net zero? Whatever we are going to emit, we are going to capture it back. Now, as far as this is concerned, there are various treaties and agreement. One such agreement is European Union Green Deal, Fit for 55, EUDR and CBM. What is CBM? Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. It is a mechanism imposed by European Union on the import of those products which have emitted carbon in the manufacturing country. Let's say we are manufacturing this pen and exporting to Europe. And let's say this pen has emitted carbon, so Europe is going to impose taxation on it. This is carbon border adjustment mechanism. What is EUDR? That is European Union deforestation regulation. Basically, uh, this is for those products which are cultivated in a land which has been deforested. Let's say we are cultivating uh, coffee after deforestation of an area and we are exporting it to European Union. So in that case, there will be limitations. What is Fit for 55? Basically, the objective is to cut down the emission of greenhouse gases by 55% at least by 2030. And this is the goal of European Union. And EU is planning to be carbon neutral by 2050. India's target is to be climate neutral or carbon neutral by 2070. So you need to remember these factual data. Okay, so what are India's initiative for green shipping? So India has signed an agreement with the Denmark for green shipping. Apart from that, India is going to have its first domestic coastal green shipping corridor. So that will be there, and it is going to connect the Kandla port, Kandla on the west coast, and to the Thothukudi in Tamil Nadu. That is VO Chidambarnar port in the south. So this is important. Question can be asked, which is going to be India's first domestic coastal green shipping corridor. Domestic basically means within India, and green shipping basically means it will have lesser carbon emission. So this is the newspaper headline. India's first domestic coastal green shipping corridor. This is going to be from Kandla in Gujarat to Thothukudi in Tuticorin in Tamil Nadu. And for this SCI, that is Shipping Corporation of India, is going to be the key component. Okay, next is related to WHO Global Conference on Air Pollution and Health. So this was organized in Cartagena in Colombia. Now, as far as Colombia is concerned, please remember two, three things. One, FARC was a militant group in Colombia. ELN is another such group. So remember the name of these groups, ELN and FARC. You need not to remember the full form, but remember these are the militant groups active in Colombia. Colombia was also the host of CBD, COP16. What is CBD? Convention on Biological Diversity. Who is going to be the next host? So it is going to be in Mongolia, to be specific, in Ulaanbaatar. So, what was the outcome of this WHO Global Conference on Air Pollution and Health? So, basically, it was decided that we are going to reduce the air pollution's health impact by 50% by 2040. So, just remember 50% by 2040. Okay. Now, as far as this Cartagena is concerned, there is a Cartagena protocol also that is also related to CBD. What is CBD? Convention on Biological Diversity. So this protocol is related to the safe handling of LMO. What is LMO? That is living modified organisms. So remember these two three things. CBD is there, Convention on Biological Diversity. If there is a movement of LMO, for that how we are going to handle them safely, if there is a Cartagena protocol. Next is related to Baku to Belem roadmap. So just understand this three thing. There's a Earth Summit. Earth Summit. Now this Earth Summit was actually conducted in 1992, and subsequently three important development were there. One is related to environment. For that we have UNFCCC, that is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Now, its conference of parties are organized. So the COP 29 that was organized in Baku in Azerbaijan, and COP 30 that was organized in Belem in Brazil, and COP 31 that is going to be organized in Antalya in Turkey. That is related to UNFCCC. Then we have UNCCD. What is CCD? Convention to Combat Desertification. So this one is related to desertification. So last year, the COP 16 that was organized in Saudi. And actually, I think, yes, there is going to be one correction. COP 17 is going to be in Mongolia. Third is related to Convention on Biological Diversity, that is CBD. So last was organized, COP 16 was organized in Cali. And previously, by mistake, I had mentioned that COP 17, this is 16, COP 17, by mistake, I had mentioned that it will be in Mongolia. No, that will be in Armenia, in Yerevan. So COP 17 is going to be in Armenia. These are some of important conference of parties you need to keep in mind. Please keep this in mind. This is not going to be in Mongolia. By mistake, previously, I had mentioned that. Okay. Now, as far as this UNFCCC 20 COP 29 is concerned, this was organized in Baku, and COP 31 is going to be in Antalya in 2026, and this will be in Turkey. Next is Aim for Nature Initiative. So, as the name suggests, this is an initiative for nature conservation. This is an initiative by FAO. Objective is to restore the 30% of our degraded ecosystem by 2030. So 30% restoration by 2030, that is the objective. Next is related to small hive beetle. So actually it is a variety of beetle which is found in sub-Saharan Africa. For the first time it was recorded in India, in West Bengal. So this is how it look. And since it was recorded first time in India, so that's why it is important from exam perspective. Next is RLC. So RLC was in news because of climate change. RLC is between Kaju. What is Kaju? Kaju is Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. So this is a geographical location. This is RLC. This is Kazakhstan. This is Uzbekistan. Now, because of low water, technically this has dried up, and now it is converting into a desert, which is referred as Aralkum Desert. Next is related to the conference of parties to Basel Convention, Rotterdam Convention, and Stockholm Convention. So these are three important conventions: Basel, Stockholm, and Rotterdam. So recently, their conference of parties was organized in Geneva. Now, the Basel Convention is related to the transboundary, that means between countries, movement of hazardous waste. Just remember, Basel is related to HW. What is HW? Hazardous waste. Rotterdam Convention, that is related to the trade of hazardous chemicals through prior informed consent. In a very simple sense, if there is a trade and if it is among countries, first that country need to give consent that yes, it can be traded into this country. So that simply means you have to take prior permission of that country in which you are going to trade this hazardous chemical. That is Rotterdam. And then there is a Stockholm Convention. Stockholm Convention is related to POP. What is POP? Persistent organic pollutants. That simply means it is very difficult to get rid of these kind of pollutants. Now, in this context, just remember two important chemicals. One is this carbosulfan, and second is phantheon. So these has been added into the list of Rotterdam, and that's why they were in news. Apart from that, few other chemicals were banned as a part of this Stockholm Convention. So just remember these things. Next is related to the ABS rules of biodiversity. See, there is a convention on biological diversity. That is an international convention. To implement that convention into our country, there is a domestic legislation for that. That is Biodiversity Act of 2002. Under this act, there is a national authority. The name of that authority is NBA. What is NBA? National Biodiversity Authority. Recently, this has issued new ABS rules. What is ABS? That is Access and Benefit Sharing Rules. In a very simple sense, let me simplify it. Let's say a tribal community is there and they have some kind of traditional knowledge. Okay. Now, what is happening is that some pharma company has approached them and they have utilized that traditional knowledge. Let's say they have a traditional knowledge. I'm oversimplifying that they have traditional knowledge that turmeric is very good for wound healing, which actually it is. Now, some pharma company used this formula and started selling some kind of cream for wound healing. In this case, they have utilized the traditional knowledge. So, as per ABS rules, that pharma company need to share a part of their profit with the traditional communities or with those tribal communities. That is the concept of ABS, or that is the concept of these new benefit sharing. Now, in this context, one more term or concept is there, that is digital sequence information, DSI. What is this DSI? Understand there is a biological information. Let's say DNA is there, RNA is there. That is a biological information. The digital representation of this biological information is referred as a DSI. Digital representation of that biological information, that is referred as a DSI. Okay. So remember three things. As per the new ABS rules, it is mandatory for sharing the benefit with the local communities from which this traditional knowledge has been taken. Okay, what is DSI? We have already covered. It is digital representation of that genetic information. Now understand the new rules. High value resources must share at least 5% of the sales of the proceeds up to 20% in commercial cases. As I have given you example that let's say they have formulated a cream based on that traditional knowledge and they are selling that cream in, let's say, 100 rupees. Now they need to share a part of this profit with the tribal community. Exact percentage you need not to mug up, but you need to understand the concept. In this context, there was Cali Fund on DSI. Why Cali? Because the CBD, that is Convention on Biological Diversity, COP16, was in Cali, and this one is in Colombia. So basically, this Cali fund for the fair and equitable sharing of the benefits from the use of DSI. What was DSI? We have already covered. Next is related to the Himalayan mountain system ecology. So basically, recently there was a dialogue in Nepal for the conservation of the mountain ecosystem, and that is referred as the Sagarmatha Samvad. So this was organized in Nepal, and India participated in this. Now, as far as this mountain system is concerned, understand recently a glacier was in news, and that is Yala Glacier. So this Yala Glacier of Nepal, this became the first glacier in India, in Asia actually, to be declared dead. Uh, a glacier, when it is not moving, that is referred as dead. Now, why it is not moving? Because of the melting of ice due to climate change. So this is the first glacier in Asia to be declared dead. Globally, this Ogkul Glacier is the first one to be declared dead. This was in 2014, and this is in Iceland. Now, understand 2025 was the year of glacier preservation. Keep that in mind. Apart from that, 2025 was also celebrated as year of cooperatives. Next is related to GIAHS program of FAO. Now understand what is FAO. FAO is Food and Agriculture Organization. What is this GIAHS? First thing first, the full form is Globally Important Agricultural Heritage System. In a very system, these are unique agricultural practices which are being followed. So they have some kind of unique features. So that's why we are trying to preserve them as a heritage. So FAO give a status of these sites to different agricultural practices. Now, from India, there are three important sites or agricultural practices. One is Kashmir saffron, second is Koraput in Odisha, and third is Kuttanad farming in Kerala. Why it was in news? Because recently 6 new sites were added into this thing. You need not to mug up the name of those sites, but you need to understand that it is a program of FAO, and what is the purpose behind it? Purpose is to focus on the unique agricultural heritage system. Next is related to Supreme Court judgment on the retrospective environmental clearance. So there was a case, One Shakti versus Union of India. Now let me give you a brief background of this entire issue. Uh, let's say there's a highway project. Okay. Now before any project, the project require environmental clearance. Let's say the project was started without environmental clearance. Let's say the project was started in 2021. As of now, it has not received any environmental clearance. Later, the government issued environmental clearance in 2022. Project started earlier, environmental clearance was given later. This is referred as ex post facto clearance. This was challenged in the court. The court in this one Shakti judgment said that ex post facto environmental clearance, they are not allowed. This is a judgment of, I think, May or June. Okay. Later, in November, the court recalled this judgment. Court said, no, it can be allowed in certain cases. So you just have to understand that part. Rest everything is quite common. Now understand, as far as projects are concerned, two assessment are done. One is this EIA, Environment Impact Assessment. In a very simple sense, what will be its impact on the environment? What will be the impact of this project on environment? And then there is a SIA, Social Impact Assessment. In a very simple sense, what will be impact on the society? Will there be any kind of displacement because of this project, and so on? So these are important things. ओके, सो एनसीआर एरिया में एयर क्वालिटी को मेंटेन करने के लिए एक बॉडी है, दैट इज CAQM. व्हाट इज दिस CAQM? दैट दिस इज कमीशन फॉर एयर क्वालिटी मैनेजमेंट. So first thing first, it is a body for maintaining air quality in NCR region. Second thing, it is a statutory body. Please keep that in mind. Examiner can set a trap that it is executive body or something like that. No, it has been given statutory status. Why it was in news? Because it has issued directives to different states like Punjab, Haryana, and UP and Rajasthan related to this stubble burning. Now, what is this stubble burning? See, understand, let's say this is a crop plant. Now what happens is that when we are using machine for harvesting, so the machine is going to cut it from here. So this portion is being cut. Now this is residue. Residue basically means the remaining part. Now when it is on my farm, what farmers do, in order to clean it rapidly, they burn it, and that is referred as stubble burning. What is the problem with this? It leads to environmental pollution, and that's why the CAQM has issued directions that please make sure that farmers do not burn this stubble. So that is the entire issue. What can we ask in exam? A, it is a statutory body for maintaining air quality in NCR region. This is the name of act, that is self-explanatory. Okay, so it has issued directions to the different states to prevent the stubble burning. Now, as far as stubble burning is concerned, why farmers are burning it? Because that's a economic way or easy way to clean your fields. So that's why PUSA has developed a product, that is PUSA decomposer. So basically, it is a spray which will help in decomposition of those remaining stubble. This way, this stubble will act as a fertilizer for those farmers. So that is one technological solution for the problem. Next is related to National Center for Polar and Oceanic Research. Why it was in use? Because it completed 25 years. It is under Ministry of Earth Sciences. As the name suggests, it is responsible for polar and oceanic research. It is also responsible for leading the deep ocean mission. So just like we have Gaganyaan mission for space exploration, we have a deep ocean mission for ocean exploration. Next is related to global methane tracker. So methane is a GHG, that is greenhouse gas, and it is responsible for short-term climate warning. Okay. Now, recently, a report was released by IEA related to the methane. Roughly 1/3 of the global warming is because of methane. Okay. Next is related to Asiatic lion population. So, over a period of time, because of the conservation effort, the population of Asiatic lion has increased in Gujarat. Now, the Gir forest in Gujarat, basically Gir region, that is considered as the home of Asiatic lions, Gir National Park. Apart from that, there is a Barda Wildlife Sanctuary. This is also in Gujarat, and this is considered as the second home of Asiatic lions. So just remember this thing, Barda Wildlife Sanctuary. The IUCN status is vulnerable. Next is related to IUCN release the first green status. See, this green status concept basically means what steps are being taken for the recovery of those species. So as per this, lion is largely depleted and it has become extinct in areas such as North Africa and Southwest Asia. And in certain parts, the conservation of lion is quite successful. For example, West and South Central Africa and South Africa and in India. Next is related to the study of snow leopard in Ladakh. So snow leopards are the apex predators and they are found in the Himalayan and Central Asia. Name itself is self-explanatory. Snow. Okay. So the highest density is found in Ladakh region, and it is found in the Hamish National Park, and it is in the first schedule of Wildlife Protection Act. Okay, the status is vulnerable. Next is related to Operation Olivia. So it is for the protection of the sea turtle, olive ridley sea turtle, and the sites of their mass nesting, that is referred as Aribada. The IUCN status is vulnerable. So these are olive ridley turtles. Next is Kasrap Conservation Reserve. So this is India's largest conservation reserve and it is in Himachal Pradesh. So this is geographical location of this Kasrap Conservation Reserve. Next is Yala Glacier. We have already covered. It was declared dead. It became the first glacier of Asia to be declared dead. Next is solar panel efficiency norms. So understand, uh, we are installing solar panel. Now, how much sunlight will be converted into electricity? That is going to determine its efficiency. If it is more efficient, it will convert that sunlight into more electricity. If it is less efficient, it will convert that sunlight into less electricity. Okay. Now, recently, the government has updated the guidelines and the threshold has been reduced. In a very simple sense, now even less efficient solar panels are allowed. So that is why it was in news. So MNRE, that is Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, have lowered the norms for the off-grid. Off-grid basically means they are not connected to grid. This is independent house. This is grid. If it is connected to grid, then it is grid connected. If it is not connected, then it is off-grid. So the threshold has been reduced for off-grid projects for the solar modules less than 200 volts. So previously, just remember, previously the efficiency norms were 19% for crystalline silicon and 18% for cadmium based this solar panels. Now for both, the percentage has been reduced to 18%. That means if you are a supplier of solar panels and if your panel is having efficiency of more than 18%, you can supply for these independent projects. In that context, the government has also introduced a distributed renewable energy category. In a very simple sense, let's say this is house. If electricity is produced near this house, that is, this is the consumption point. If electricity is produced near this consumption point, that is referred as a distributed renewable energy. In a very simple sense, the power generation is near the point of use and it is below or typically at the level of 100 kW. That is 100 kilowatt. Okay. Next is related to e-methanol plant in Denmark. So basically, Denmark became the first country to operationalize the commercial scale plant. And what they are doing, they are producing e-methanol. How they are producing e-methanol? From the green hydrogen and captured carbon dioxide. What is this captured carbon dioxide? So let's say there is a factory that has emitted carbon. We are going to capture it and we are going to use it in the production of e-methanol. So it is quite significant development, but the problem is it is a very costly project. So this can be a low carbon solution for the shipping and for the aviation sector. But as I mentioned, it requires huge amount of investment. Next is regional integrated multi-hazard early warning system. As the name suggests, we are developing a system which can give us warning in advance for the hazards. So recently, the fourth ministerial conference was organized in Colombo in Sri Lanka, and subsequently a new declaration was adopted. This system of early warning, this was basically started after this Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004, and it is based at Asian Institute of Technology in Thailand. X is largest banana in fructosense. So basically, let me first show you the picture. This is a 4-meter banana in fructosense, and this was found in Andamans, in the forest of Andamans, and that's why it was in news. So what is this infructosense? Basically, the cluster of fruits arranged on a stem, that is referred as infructosense, and the name of this is Musa. Just try to remember it in the form of Andamanese so that you can connect it to Andaman. I don't even know what will be the correct pronunciation. Okay. Next is related to atmospheric memory and monsoon. In a very simple sense, so far we used to think that sunlight is going to decide the weather pattern. But recently a study was conducted that found that the atmosphere remember the amount of water vapor which was present in the last scenario. And based on this water vapor, our weather patterns are changed. So in a very simple sense, atmosphere has memory, and based on that memory, our weather phenomena are decided. So that is referred as the concept of atmospheric memory. Atmospheric memory basically means it remember what was the previous state of weather, and that is going to influence our current climate patterns. So basically, in this case, water vapor history is going to play a important role, and this leads to the concept of bistability. Bistability basically means even if the sunlight is same, it may lead to two different scenario or two different weather patterns based on the history. What was the pattern in the last time? Based on that, there may be different weather patterns. Next is related to urban resilience in a very simple sense. To what extent our urban infrastructure will be able to withstand the disasters. So this is more important from mains point of view. It is not that much important from prelims point of view. Now, as far as this is concerned, just remember one thing, and that is CDRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. Next is related to ethanol blending. So basically, we are blending ethanol with the petrol. The target was blending of 20% uh, ethanol with the petrol, and we have achieved that target. Now, basically, there are as per biofuel policy of 2018, the target was that we are going to blend 20% ethanol in the petrol. Initially, this target was for 2030. Later, it was preponed, and we have achieved it in 2025 itself. Now, as far as ethanol is concerned, basically there are different generations. The first generation ethanol is produced from the food crops. The second generation ethanol is produced from the waste. The third generation ethanol is produced from the aquatic biomass such as alga, and the fourth generation ethanol is produced from the genetically modified plants and microorganisms. Now, understand one more thing. The GST on ethanol, which is blended, for that the GST is 5%. However, for crude ethanol, it is still 18%, and that's why there is a demand that cut it down as well. So remember the discrepancy in this case. On the blended, it is 5%. It has been reduced from 18% to 5%, but in other cases, it is 18%. Next is related to integrated development of wildlife habitat scheme. So basically, as the name suggests, the objective is to develop the wildlife habitat. Recently, two animals were included into this list, and these two animals are sloth bear and ghadial. Now, understand this is a centrally sponsored scheme. Centrally sponsored basically means central government is going to give some funding, and then rest of the funding will come from states. Now, as far as gharial is concerned, they are found in the deep, fast-flowing rivers. They are found in Nepal. They are found in India. As far as sloth bear are concerned, they are found in the forest and grassland. They are found in India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. Next is related to Convention on International Trade in endangered species of wild flora and fauna. In a very simple sense, uh, this is a treaty to prevent the trade in certain species of trees or plants and animals, to prevent their extinction. Convention to prevent the extinction of those species of plants and animals which are on the risk. Okay, that is referred as CITES. Why it was in use? Because recently it completed 50 years. So it was originally started by IUCN in 1963, and it came into force in 1975. We ratified it in 1976. The secretariat is in Geneva, and it is administered by UNEP. The third conference of this thing was organized in India in 1981. Now, there are some important initiatives of this CITES. One is Mike program. The objective is to prevent the killing of elephants. Now, there are certain Mike sites in India. One is Chirang Ripu Elephant Reserve and Dihing Patkai Elephant Reserve. This Chirang Ripu Elephant Reserve was also in news because of its new name, that is Sikna Jahalvo National Park. So that is new name, and it is the eighth national park of Assam. So keep that in mind. Next is CITES tree species program, basically to prevent the trade in tree species which are endangered. Next is Pacific Ring of Fire. That's a very basic geography topic. So recently, this Kamchatka Peninsula was in news because of the earthquake. This is Kamchatka Peninsula. This is Bering Sea. This is Sea of Okhotsk. Pacific Ring of Fire is basically prone to earthquake and volcanic eruption. So this is Pacific Ring of Fire. Next is Sustainable Development Goals Report. There are two reports. One is Sustainable Development Goals Report and one is Sustainable Development Report. This goals report, this is released by United Nations. In fact, it is the only United Nations official report on SDG. And as per that, roughly 8.9% population still live in extreme poverty, and roughly 1 in the 11 people, roughly again 9%, that is facing the problem of hunger. Okay. Now, this Sustainable Development Goals report is different from the Sustainable Development Report. This report is released by SDSN. What is SDSN? Sustainable Development Solution Network. For the first time, India is in top 100 category. So India's ranking is 99 and our score is 67. India's ranking is 99. Uh, on national level, this is a ranking is released by Niti Aayog. So as per SDG India Index, Kerala and Uttarakhand are on the top position. States like Bihar and Jharkhand, they are on bottom position. We have already covered this part. Next is National Indicator Framework Progress Report. So basically, MOSPI, that is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, it provides the National Indicator Framework to track our performance of SDG. That means how we are performing when it comes to the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals. So just remember this thing that NIF is related to a framework for tracking the performance of SDG, and in case of India, Niti Aayog is the apex body for SDG. Next is related to draft rule for carbon credit trading scheme. Now, what is this carbon credit trading scheme? In a very simple sense, let's say you are allowed to emit 10 unit of carbon, but you emitted only 8. So you can sell the remaining 2. Who is going to buy? Someone who was allowed to emit 10 but emitted 12. So they need to buy 2 extra. That is the concept of carbon trading. Okay, so recently new rules were notified for this. Who is going to determine the emission target? Emission target means how much you can emit. So this will be by BW. What is BW? Bureau of Energy Efficiency. And who is going to regulate this entire process? Regulator is going to be CERC. What is CERC? Central Electricity Regulatory Commission. Please keep this in mind. Examiner can set a trap, and by exchanging these bodies, that CERC will determine the targets and implementation will be ensured by BW. No, BW is going to specify the targets. Regulator is going to be CERC. And this is how it is going to operate. So someone who is emitting less carbon, they can sell these to those who are emitting more carbon. Next is related to new rules for contaminated sites management. Contaminated sites basically means they are contaminated because of some kind of harmful chemicals. So in that context, recently new rules were notified under what? Under Environment Protection Act of 1986. So please remember, these rules are not for some serious contaminants. For example, contamination from radioactive waste or mining, oil, spill, and solid waste. For that, there are separate rules. So remember this exclusion. Apart from that, who is going to identify the sites? So it will be the responsibility of SPCB. What is SPCB? State Pollution Control Board. Now, how we are going to clean up? So basically, SPCB will find out the site, and then they will find out who is responsible for this. If they are able to find out the person or the company responsible for it, then that company will have to basically pay money for its recovery. If they are not able to find out, then they have to use the fund for recovery. That means SPCB need to arrange the financial resources. And if SPCB found out that some person is responsible, so they can impose fine if they do not follow the guidelines. Next is related to Water Wetland Outlook 2025. So, as the name says, Global Wetland Outlook 2025. So, this report was released by the Secretariat of Ramsar Convention. Ramsar Convention is for the conservation of wetlands. Ramsar is a name of place in Iran. Okay. Under this, there is a regional flyway initiative. What is this flyway initiative? It is for conservation of wetlands for which are essential for our migratory birds. Apart from that, recently Seychelles became the first in country to issue sovereign blue bond. Blue bond basically means we are borrowing money for the marine ecosystem conservation. Bond is a mechanism to borrow money. Sovereign basically means it is issued by some government backed entity. Blue basically means this money will be used for some marine project. Next is related to Uttarakhand. So Uttarakhand became the Uttarakhand was in news because of having a plan for tourist carrying capacity in Nainital district. Carrying capacity basically means based on the resources, how much population it can sustain in a longer run. See, if an area is having limited resources and if there is too much population, it cannot sustain it in a longer run. So carrying capacity is a concept that these are our resources, and based on those resources, how much population we can carry in a longer run. Next is related to the judgment of ICJ on tracking the climate change. Now understand, various agreements are there for climate change, but what if countries don't follow that? For example, after Trump, USA decided to quit this Paris Agreement. So recently there was a case in ICJ. What is ICJ? International Court of Justice, specialized body of United Nations. The case was that whether these developed countries are they actually liable for some kind of responsibility, means do they have some kind of legal responsibility to deal with the issues of climate change? So ICJ said yes, they have responsibility. They are bound by the international conventions and treaties, and if they are not going to take action, of course legal consequences will be there. So that is something which you need to keep in mind. Now understand, it will not have much impact, but it will just add a kind of moral pressure on the countries that yes, they are liable to follow these rules and regulations. Next is Aditi scheme. So just remember the full form. What is Aditi? Assistance in deploying energy efficient technology in industries and establishment scheme limited. In a very simple sense, government is helping MSME to deploy modern technology so that their electricity consumption reduces. If they will consume less electricity, their electricity bill will go down, their cost of production will go down, their products will be more competitive. That is Aditi scheme. Since it is related to electricity, the ministry is Ministry of Power. Next is related to sea flood. Name itself is self-explanatory. It is a forecasting model for flood. You will be able to forecast with better accuracy up to village level. Next is reclaim framework. This is important, can be asked. So basically, let's say there was a coal mine. We extracted the coal. Now, how we are going to recover that site? In a very simple sense, how we are going to fill that site? For that, there is a reclaim framework. Just remember this thing. So it is related to coal and it is for recovery of those coal sites. This is full form. You need not to mug up. Next is weather derivatives. Now understand, derivative is an instrument in a very simple sense. Let's say we don't know what will be the weather scenario in next 6 months. That means let's try to understand this way. I'm a farmer. I don't know what kind of rainfall we will have in the later part of this year. So I decided to purchase a derivative. Okay. Now, as per that derivative, I'm just taking a very basic example. As per that derivative, let's say there's a 100 rainfall. I'm saying if the rainfall is going to be more than 100, I will have good agricultural production. So I'm happy. If rainfall is going to be more than 100, then I will be happy. So I'm purchasing this derivative. If the rainfall will be lower than 100, then the seller will pay me the money. That is the concept of derivative. In a very simple sense, it is an instrument to hedge your risk. Hedge basically means to diversify your risk. So I have given one example as well. Let's try to understand with the help of example why it was in news. Because India is going to launch its first weather derivative with the help of National Commodity and Derivative Exchange Limited. Okay, let's try to understand it with this example of ice cream parlor. So now let's say you have ice cream business. Okay, you have purchased a derivative. In a very simple sense, you have signed a contract. The contract condition is that if the temperature is going to be below 25, that means if it is going to be relatively less hot, below 25 means less hot. So the sale of your ice cream will be less because the temperature is quite cool. So you will get money from the derivative. If the temperature is more than 25, the business is good. So you are happy. Let me explain it in a more simple way. I'm ice cream seller. I want that summer should be quite intense so that I can sell more and more ice cream. If there will be intense summer, I'm happy. What if the summer is not so intense? In that case, I will be in risk. My business will be in risk. To reduce that risk, I have purchased a derivative. What is the condition in that derivative? That if the temperature is going to be less than 25, I will get money from that derivative. If the temperature is more than 25, I will not get money. So in this case, the amount of money I am going to get is based on the weather pattern. That's why it is referred as weather derivative. That's it. Next is related to human-made dams have shifted the poles of Earth. See, uh, we are constructing dams and we are storing water. Ideally, that water should have been stored in the ocean, but we are storing it on the Earth's surface. So that's why the weight balance of Earth changes, and that is why the poles of Earth, they are shifting. That is the crux of this entire study. Let me show you the poles condition. This phenomena is referred as to polar wander. Polar wander basically means the shifting of the poles. Okay, so this is how it looks. Okay, now understand. There are two scenarios. In one scenario, the polar line, this passes through Greenland. In this scenario, this passes westward. That means it is moving away from the Greenland. So this is basically this situation basically refers to shifting of poles, and this is polar wander. Next is related to winter fog experiment, that is X or YFX. Now understand in a very simple sense, the full form is self-explanatory. We are trying to understand the fog phenomena in winters, especially in the North India. Next is related to Karyachali Island. So it is an inhabited island, and this was in news because the government is trying to recover this island or restore this island. It is facing problem because of climate change. Okay, so the for that purpose, Tamil Nadu government have started a project named as TN Shore. What is TN Shore? Tamil Nadu sustainably harnessing ocean resources. So this is the geographical location of this island. This is Tamil Nadu, and this is this island. This is Rameshwaram. Next is Chenab River. Why it was in news? Because of hydroelectric project. What was the name of the hydroelectric project? That is Swalcoat Hydel project. Next is Tokara Island. So these are in Japan. Why they were in news? Because of earthquake. So that is the geographical location of Tokara Island. This is Japan. These are Akuseki Island. Next is Bitra Island. So these are in Lakshadweep. Why they were in use? Because we are planning to use them for defense purpose. So this is the geographical location of Bitra Island. This is India, and these are Bitra Island. First is related to agroforestry. As the name suggests, it is a combination of two keywords, agriculture plus forestry. So in a very simple sense, combining agriculture and forestry. Why it was in use recently? Because government issued the model rules for felling trees on agricultural land. Now, these model rules focus on the procedure for registration of land for agroforestry. So if you want to register your land for agroforestry, you need to follow these principles. Now India have a policy, national agro forestry policy. The objective is to focus or to combine forestry with agriculture. Forestry basically means tree cultivation with agriculture or farming. Next is International Conference on Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. So recently this conference was organized in France. This was 7th conference, and African Union joined. African Union also joined this one. The theme was shaping a resilient future for coastal regions. During this initiative, one more initiative was announced, that is call to action for coastal resilience in small island developing states. Now understand, island countries face the greater risk of disaster, especially because of rising sea level. Why sea level is rising? Understand, global warming is there. Because of this global warming, what is happening is glaciers are melting. Because of glacier melting, what is happening is that sea level is rising. Because of sea level rising, what is happening is that there is a risk of sinking of these small islands. And that is why this initiative has been announced. Now, as far as CDRI is concerned, what is CDRI? It is Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. So it was launched in 2019 by our Prime Minister at UN Climate Action Summit. The headquarters of CDRI is in New Delhi. Next is related to disaster risk reduction financing. As the name suggests, the focus is on reducing the risk of disaster. So recently, UNDDR, that is United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, released a report. What is the name of the report? Global Assessment Report, and the title is Resilience Pace. That means we have to invest into our infrastructure so that it can withstand the disaster. Now, as far as disaster is concerned, please remember one thing, disaster management is explicitly mentioned in GS paper 3. For disaster management, two important frameworks are there. One is Hugo framework, which was applicable from 2005 to 2015, and then there is a Sendai framework, which is applicable from 2015 to 2030. In the context of disasters, two important terms are there. One is green bond. Green bond basically means issuing bonds to finance the environment friendly projects. And then there is a cat bond. Cat basically refers to catastrophe. So these bonds are issued. Let's say a country have issued these bonds. Let's say India have issued these bonds. You have purchased it. Now these bonds have very high interest rate. High interest rate plus high risk. High risk, high reward strategy is there. So how government of India will be able to use this? So whenever there will be disaster, government will be able to use this money. That means if there will be disaster, you will lose your money. If there won't be any disaster, you are going to gain significantly. That is the concept of cat bond. Next is related to maritime disaster. So in recent time, the Kerala coast had witnessed two significant maritime disaster. One was the damage of MSC Elsa 3, which contaminated our coastal areas. And then there was another damage, that is MV1 High. This was because of fire. Now this is Liberia based ship, and this was Singapore flagged ship. So that's why India highlighted that there is a need of transparency. Why there is a need of transparency? Because these ship had misdeclared hazardous goods. Misdeclared basically means they declared that they are not so hazardous. Why so? just to evade the authorities. So that is why there is a lack of transparency, and we need better regulation. Apart from that, there should be a satellite tracking and insurance reform. Why insurance? If there is a damage, the compensation should be paid. For example, recently Kerala government had approached the High Court that they should direct MSC for the payment of compensation. The Kerala High Court had said that okay, seize their boat, another boat, till the time they do not pay the compensation amount. Now understand, High Court have original jurisdiction in case of admiralty issues. Okay. The headquarters of IMO is in London in UK. Next is related to crowd disaster management. Understand the background. So RCB won the IPL. There was celebration. Subsequently, the crowd was too much. There was stampede. A lot of people died. Subsequently, a committee was set up, and that was Justice D. Kunha panel. Now, this panel said that there was lack of management, there was lack of regulation at the gate of the stadium, because of which stampede was the result. Because of which there was stampede, and subsequently, a lot of people lost their life. Now, what could have been done? We could have used different technology to control the crowd or to regulate or to monitor them. Apart from that, the police should have ensured better coordination between different departments, and there should have been a multi-agency coordination. See, every now and then, since we are highly populated country, every now and then we see a lot of disasters because of mismanagement of the crowd. So that's why it is important we can use technology just to monitor them. Next is Bharat Forecast System. As the name suggests, it is a system for weather forecasting. It has been launched by MOES, that is Ministry of Earth Sciences, and it has been developed by IITM Pune. What is IITM? It is Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology. Now, it will have better forecasting resolution, and because of that, it will help us in disaster management, any kind of disaster, for example, cyclone, and climate resilient planning. Next is related to Science Policy Panel on Chemicals, Waste and Pollution. So focuses on three things: chemicals, waste and pollution. So in 2022, there was a resolution of UNEA, that is United Nations Environment Assembly. Subsequently, this panel has been now formed up. That means recommendation was of 2022. Now it has been formed up. As the name suggests, it is going to focus on chemical waste, pollutions. So it is going to supplement the existing two organizations. One is IPCC, that is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and one is IPBES. What is IPBES? It is Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services. Okay, next is related to ILO, that is International Labour Organization, Convention on Biological Hazard. Understand the meaning of this thing. At workplace, the workers should be protected from any kind of biological hazard. That is the main focus of this. ILO simply means International Labour Organization. So this is the first ever international convention adopted on biological hazards at work, and this is convention number 192. In a very simple sense, objective is to ensure the safety of workers. It is applicable to the all sectors, including informal sectors. Now, India have objected to this. Why we have objected to it? We said that our MSME is informal sector. A lot of MSME or a lot of small companies are there. If they will have to follow all these protocols, this will increase their cost of operation, and therefore it will be adversely impacting them. What is counter argument? Safety is a first and foremost requirement, safety of workers. Now in this context of hazard, please remember one thing, that is Bhopal gas tragedy, and the waste of this Bhopal gas tragedy is now being disposed of in Pitampur in Madhya Pradesh. What was the tragedy? That was the leakage of methyl isocyanate from the plant of Union Carbide, and Warren Anderson was the head of the company at that time. These are important, reason being key, it recently completed I think 40 years, yes, 1984. Just a second. Hmm. Okay, next is state and trends of carbon pricing. See, carbon pricing basically means you are allowed to emit only fixed unit of carbon. Let's say you are allowed to eat only 5 chocolates per day. If you are eating more than that, if you need to eat more than that, you need to pay extra money for that. If you are eating less than that, you can sell those extra. Let's say 5 were allowed, you ate only 3, so you are having 2 surplus, you can sell them. Similarly, instead of chocolate, now replace the chocolate with the carbon. That is how carbon market functions. So recently World Bank released a report. That report said that now there are more than 80 carbon pricing mechanism. So over a period of time, this is becoming quite popular, and it covers roughly 28% of the global GHG emission. Okay, now what is carbon pricing? It simply means a monetary value is assigned to the carbon emission. Why it is in monetary terms? So that we can encourage the polluters to reduce their greenhouse gas emission. Similarly, as in case of chocolate example, we are saying that if you are going to eat less, you will get this much amount of money. So instead of 5 chocolate, if you are going to eat let's say 3 chocolate, you will get 20 rupee extra. Why 20 rupee extra? Because you saved 2 chocolate. You can sell that. If someone is eating more than 5, let's say they need to eat 7, so they need to purchase 2. For that 2, they need to pay 20 rupee extra. So this is how monetary value is assigned to the chocolates, in this case to the carbon emission. Next is related to state of climate in Asia. As the name suggests, it is related to the climate situation, and it has been released by WMO. Now understand, just one point is there, that Asia is warming at the double speed of the global average. That means the temperature is rising in Asia at a much faster pace. Because of that, what will happen? Our glaciers will melt fast, sea level will rise fast, there will be water related problems, there will be coastal vulnerability. Next is National Mission for Green India. As the name suggests, focuses on sustainable development. So why it was in news? Because recently the revised document was released. It is part of National Action Plan on Climate Change, which was launched in 2011. The focus is on afforestation and carbon sequestration. What is carbon sequestration? The carbon which has been emitted, we are trying to capture it back. That is carbon sequestration. Now, how we are going to fund this? So first there will be allocation by the government, and then there will be Campa fund. Now what is this Campa fund? Campa basically refers to Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority. Let me give you a very basic example. Let's say you need a land, and this land is having a lot of trees. Let's say I'm oversimplifying it. Let's say it is having 1000 trees. So what is happening is that you need to cut these trees for any industrial project. So you need to pay money for afforestation of these trees, and that money is deposited in this fund, CAMPA. See why we are allowing the deforestation in this case? Because industrial development is also important, but someone who has cutted these trees, technically loss of environment is there, so in compensation to that they need to pay money to the Campa fund. That is compensatory afforestation. So this is a money which will be used for the afforestation. Next is Global Drought Outlook 2025. So this was recently released by OECD, Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. As per that report, roughly 40% of the global land now face the risk of drought. Now understand one thing. There are three important conventions of UNFCCC, of United Nations. One is related to UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. This will have COP30, and this will be in Belém, that is in Brazil. Then there is CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity. So this will have COP17, and this is going to be in Armenia. And then there is UNCCD, Convention to Combat Desertification. This is going to be in Mongolia. This is also COP17, which will be in Mongolia.
Okay. Now understand one more thing. COP29. Just a second. COP29 was organized in Baku in Azerbaijan. COP16 of this was organized in Cali in Colombia. Sorry, it is desertification. So this one was organized in Riyadh. Riyadh or Jeddah, please check it. But it was hosted by Saudi Arabia. Huh. I'm not able to recall the place, whether it was Jeddah or Riyadh. Please confirm it. And then CBD, this was organized in Cali in Colombia. Okay. Next is global ocean darkening threatens underwater ecosystem. Understand the meaning. Darkening basically means it is becoming more turbid. Why it is becoming more turbid? Because of multiple issues. One is acidification of ocean. That is why marine organisms are dying, and a layer is formed on the top level. That's one reason. Second reason, plastic pollution is there. Third reason, algal bloom due to this climate change. So what is happening is that it is becoming more and more solid, and because of this the top layer is becoming more solid, more turbid. Because of this, what is happening is that the sunlight is not able to penetrate it. If sunlight will not be able to penetrate, the lower microorganisms or the other marine organisms, they will not be able to receive sunlight, and therefore it will adversely impact their life. That is the concept of this ocean darkening. Now, as per a study, 21% of the global ocean had become darker. So this shows the adverse impact of the climate change on the marine ecosystem. You can quote this in example that how this climate change is impacting the marine ecosystem. Apart from that, you can also quote the example of bleaching, coral bleaching. Next is related to blue NDC. What is NDC? Understand. NDC is nationally determined contribution. What is this? In a very simple sense, countries are saying that in the context of climate change, we are taking these steps to reduce the global warming. Keep it simple. NDC is nationally determined contribution. Just like you have a nationally or your own goal that I'm going to study this much hours for selection. Similarly, countries said we are going to do this for this climate change to prevent the adverse impact of climate change. Now, the term blue is basically referred to ocean. So it is talking about the marine ecosystem. Recently, it was launched at third UN Ocean Conference. This conference was hosted by, uh, I think, France. It was hosted by France in collaboration with Costa Rica. So this Blue initiative has been launched by Brazil and France. They launched the Blue NDC challenge. It was joined by countries like Australia, Fiji, Kenya, Mexico, Palau, and Seychelles. Now coming to this third UN Ocean Conference. So this was organized in France, co-hosted by Costa Rica. Focuses on again Sustainable Development Goal number 14, that is LBW. It is quite easy. See, MSD, that is Mahendra Singh Dhoni, had the jersey number 7. 7 into 2, that is 14. LBW. Jersey to LBW basically means it is related to cricket. It's okay if it is too tough to remember. Next is related to new Ramsar sites. So Ramsar Convention is there for the conservation of wetlands. Ramsar is the name of the place in Iran. Two new sites are there from Rajasthan. One is Maner and second is Kishan wetland. So total there are 91 sites. Next is related to Greater Flamingo Sanctuary. So recently Tamil Nadu notified the Greater Flamingo Sanctuary at Dhanushkodi. Apart from that, the Kutch Desert Wildlife Sanctuary. This is considered as a Flamingo City. Why it is considered as Flamingo City? Because it is South Asia's only breeding ground for Greater Flamingo. This Kutch Desert Wildlife Sanctuary is situated in Gujarat. Next is related to IBAT Alliance. What is this IBAT? It is Integrated Biodiversity Assessment Tool. As the name suggests, it is for the assessment of biodiversity. So it has doubled its investment. Now, this investment will support various initiatives. For example, World Database on the protected areas, IUCN Red List. Red List is a list of vulnerable species which is released by IUCN, and then there is a world database of key biodiversity areas, protected areas, biodiversity areas, and Red List. So this funding will support these initiatives. Next is International Big Cat Alliance. So basically the focus is on conservation of 7 species of big cat. Recently this was organized in India, and it was hosted by New Delhi. Now understand, during that conference, our environment minister has been declared as the president of IBCA. Now, two important things, even though it is not directly related, just remember NTCA is there, National Tiger Conservation Authority. This is under Environment Minister. There is NBW, National Board of Wildlife. This is under Prime Minister. UPSC had asked questions on these dimensions in previous cases also. Okay, next is revised guidelines on National Bioenergy Program. Bio plus energy. Bioenergy basically means generating energy from the organic material. By burning the biomass fuel, energy is generated. So for that context, recently MNRE, that is Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, have revised the guidelines. Now how come this bioenergy is a renewable energy source? Understand, these organic materials, they can be regrown in a limited time, and unlike fossil fuels, they are not going to take years and years. Fossil fuel take too much amount of time. That's why they are considered as limited resources. On the other hand, renewable basically means they can be regenerated. So this will promote circular economy. Circular economy, understand the concept of circular economy. It is waste to energy. Previously what was considered as a waste, now we are converting that into the energy. So it focus on the reusability of the resources. Next is Energy Transition Index 2025. So this was released by the World Economic Forum. India's ranking has dropped. In 2024 it was 63. This year it is 71. Sweden is on top position. Next is thirst wave. Understand in a very simple sense how thirsty is environment, or how thirsty is our atmosphere. See, if our atmosphere will be more thirsty, what will happen? It will evaporate more and more water. Therefore the soil will require more water to compensate for that evaporation. So this basically shows the combination of two things: heat wave plus evaporation. Because of heat wave, what is happening? The evaporation is increasing. Because of evaporation, the water requirement of the soil is increasing. That is co-occurrence of heat wave and the water scarcity. That is nothing but thirst wave. So this will adversely impact our agriculture and farmers' income. Next is Salkhan Fossil Park. So this has been added to UNESCO tentative list of World Heritage Sites. This is situated in Sonbhadra in UP. And last part of the environment is related to recent volcanic eruptions. So one is Mount Etna, which is situated in Italy. Then there is Mount Levotobi, which is in Indonesia, and Kilauea volcano, which is situated in Hawaii in USA. Topic is e-mobility. As the name suggests, E refers to electric mobility. So recently the Niti Aayog proposed India's first electric mobility index. So this index will reflect the performance of different states in terms of adoption of electric vehicle. So there are three major parameters. One is transport electrification process. That means to what extent state has taken step to electrify its transportation network. In a very simple sense, how much is the adoption of EVs? Second parameter is going to be charging infrastructure, and third is going to be R&I, that is research and innovation. How much is the adoption? How much is the development of charging infrastructure? Because understand, in case of EV, there are two major problems. A, for battery, we are dependent on imports, especially elements like lithium. And for charging infrastructure, we are facing a lot of problems because we do not have well developed charging infrastructure. Only they are concentrated in major cities, and that's why there is a lack of adoption of these vehicles. As per this ranking, Delhi is on top position, followed by Maharashtra and Chandigarh. Now, the penetration of EV as of now is 7.6%, and the target is to reach to 30%. What are the challenges? Again, the cost of EV is quite high. That is one challenge. Second is depreciation rate is quite high. Depreciation rate basically means after some time, how much will be the value of your vehicle. That means how much value is lost and how much is remaining. The rate of depreciation in case of EV is sometimes 25%, which is way higher than conventional vehicle, which have depreciation rate of 10 to 15%. That means after 4 years, your vehicle will have very less value. That's why it will not be able to give you good resale value. So the adoption of EV is quite low, keeping these issues in mind. Next topic is India's resolution on wise use of wetlands. Understand what is wetland? Wetland is a place which is always submerged in water. For the conservation of wetland, there is a Ramsar Convention. Now, recently there was a conference of parties COP15 in Zimbabwe, and that was related to Ramsar Convention. During that conference, India promoted this resolution on wise use of wetlands. The term itself is self explanatory. Wise use basically means yes, we are going to use wetlands, but in a sustainable manner. That means the use of wetland should not threaten their existence. Otherwise, what will happen? They will disappear over a period of time. So that's why we are saying that yes, we need to use them, but in a sustainable manner. And that's why we have also linked it to the mission life. Now, what is this life? Lifestyle for environment. In a very simple sense, we have to adjust our lifestyle so that we do not create problems for our environment. That is, in a very simple sense, harmony between our habits and our environmental existence. The simplest term is sustainable development. We should not overuse our resources today because of our present need. That is it. So in that context, you just need to remember this thing. Now in this case, remember one mission also. The name of the mission is Mission Sahbhagita. That means let's come together and let's preserve these. Sahbhagita basically means kind of cooperation. Apart from that, there is another initiative named as Save Wetland, which is self-explanatory. Next is related to cloudburst. Cloudburst basically means sudden rainfall. How much rainfall? More than 10 centimeter rainfall in 1 hour at a particular station. This is the technical definition. Now, why it was in news? Because of multiple cloudbursts in the northern India. Okay, now understand, as far as water is concerned, there are various issues. See, because of cloudburst, what will happen? There will be flash flood. Flash flood basically means sudden flood. Since it is sudden, it is very, very difficult to predict it. Therefore, it leads to loss of life, life of human, life of animals, and loss of property also. So you can connect it to the disaster management. Apart from that, there is a issue of dam burst. Dam burst basically means dam is old, the structure is not well maintained, and therefore it was not able to hold the water. Then there are risk of landslide. Now you might wonder how these things are connected. See, in order to achieve faster development, sometimes there is deforestation. Because of deforestation, the soil get loose, and therefore what will happen? If there will be sudden rainfall, the loose soil will not be able to hold up, and therefore it will lead to landslide. Apart from that, there are common issues such as biodiversity loss. So these are some of the issues. Now, some of the news in short. One is India's water management. So what are the issues related to water management? Understand, water is a state subject. Now, what is happening is that there is a lack of coordination among states and there are interstate water disputes. That's first thing. Apart from that, there are international water disputes also. For example, with Bangladesh, with China. China is working on a dam on the Brahmaputra river. In India, it is referred as Brahmaputra. So China is working on dam project, and we have a fear that China will be able to control the flow of water, which may sometime lead to deliberate flood also. Okay. So as far as water issues are concerned, there are few issues. One is flood forecasting. As we have seen that in case of flash flood, the forecasting mechanism is not so accurate. So what is happening is we are not able to warn the local people. So that's why the Central Water Commission is going to increase the flood forecasting system. Previously it was 340, now 375. No need to mug up the number, just understand what is happening. Apart from that, we are also going to interlink water. Two benefits: A, we will be able to transfer the surplus water to the river which is deficit. So it will be able to address our water scarcity problem. Plus, we will be able to manage the floods as well. Then dam safety, we have seen the issue of dam burst. So for that purpose, we need to focus on dam safety. But the problematic part is that out of 6,000 plus dams, roughly 450 dams have dam safety plans. That means we are not well prepared. Now you can use it in your disaster management answer, that the intensity of disaster is going to be quite severe if we are not well prepared. Apart from that, we need to promote the rainwater harvesting, because what is happening is that the intensity of rain has changed significantly, so we need to promote the water conservation mechanism. For that purpose, the government is considering a new water policy that will address the issues within our country, and that is going to address the international issues also. Okay. Next is related to Global Outlook Council on the Water Investment. Understand, it is a initiative of South Africa which was started as a G20 legacy initiative. In a very simple sense, focuses on the investment in the sector of water. Now, last year Brazil was the host of G20 summit. This year South Africa is the host. As a part of that G20 summit, South Africa is going to work on this Global Outlook Council on Water Investment. That means framing new partnership for water conservation. Next is Pollution Control Board. Understand, in a very simple sense, in MC Mehta case, Supreme Court had highlighted the role of clean environment. Okay, now in that context, there is a term, polluter pay principle, which was highlighted by the court in Vello Citizens case. What is this polluter pay principle? If you are polluting the environment, you will have to pay penalty. That is polluter pay principle. Previously, as per the previous judgment of the Supreme Court, the case was that CPCB and SPCB, that is Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Board, they were not authorized to impose penalty. Especially SPCB. SPCB means State Pollution Control Board. They were not authorized to impose penalty. Now, this is against the concept of polluter pay principle. See, polluter pay principle simply says if you have polluted environment, you will have to pay a fine or penalty or compensation. Now, who is going to decide this fine? So previously, SPCB were not allowed. Now, in a very recent case, Delhi Pollution Control Committee versus Lodhi property, the Supreme Court had said that now SPCB can impose the environmental compensation under the Water Act and under the Air Act. In a very simple sense, previously they were not allowed, now they are. That is the crux of this judgment. Next is related to UNDP Equator Initiative. From Equator, you need to understand that it is focusing on the conservation projects. Okay, because that area is rich in biodiversity. So for that purpose, there is a award given to those communities which are involved in the conservation in a sustainable manner. For that purpose, the SHG, that is self-help group of Karnataka, the name is Bibi Fatima Women's SHG, that was awarded through this award for its conservation efforts. So just remember one thing, Equator is related to conservation. Next is Awaza Program of Action. Just remember one thing, it is a program for landlocked developing countries. Landlocked and developing, they can confuse you with something else, but ultimately it is you just need to remember this term, landlocked developing countries. This is the name of place which is in Turkmenistan. So the third United Nations Conference on the Landlocked Developing Countries was organized in Awaza in Turkmenistan, and subsequently this particular plan of action was in use. Next is Sundarban Tiger Reserve. Now understand, recently NBWL, that is National Board of Wildlife, which is headed by Prime Minister, this has approved the plan of expansion of the area under this Sundarban Tiger Reserve. So now after expansion, it is going to be the second largest tiger reserve after the Nagarjun Sagar Srisailam Tiger Reserve. Nagarjun Sagar Srisailam is situated in Andhra Pradesh. So this Sundarban is going to be the second largest after the expansion of the area. Next is Matri 1 initiative. 1 basically means forest. So this is a afforestation program which has been started in the Haryana, in Gurugram specially, to develop the urban forest near the Aravalli Hills. Next is Italian hydroelectric project. So this is going to be in Arunachal Pradesh. This was in news because it is being opposed by the local communities. Why they are opposing it? Because of the fear of displacement. So it is going to be in Dibang Valley in Arunachal Pradesh. Next is some volcanic eruptions were in news. One is Mount Lewotobi, which is in Indonesia, and second is Mount Kilwa, which is going to be part of, I think, USA. Yes, it is in Hawaii in USA. And next is Drake Passes. So it was in news because of earthquake, but the geographical location is quite important. So this is South America, this is Argentina, Chile, and this is Drake Passes. This is Antarctica. United Nations High Seas Treaty. Let me give you very basic understanding. Let's say this is India. So up to 200 nautical miles. This is our exclusive economic zone. That means it is our own territory. This is our territory. We have control over the resources in this area. What about the area beyond this EEZ? That is referred as high sea. And that's why it is High Seas Treaty, or it is also referred as BBNJ Treaty. That simply means biodiversity beyond national jurisdiction. Up to 200 nautical mile, we have national jurisdiction. What about the biodiversity beyond that jurisdiction? For that purpose, we have this treaty. Okay. Now, India has signed this agreement, but it has not ratified as of now. It will be effective once 60 countries signed it. Okay. Now, those who are not part of UNCLOS, they can also join this agreement. What is UNCLOS? United Nations Convention on Laws of Seas. Okay. Next is related to sustainable development, harmonizing growth with the people's need. Now, understand, various eco-sensitive areas are there. When development project is approved, there is a conflict. Should we protect environment? Should we focus on economic development? So a similar dilemma was there. Again, it could be a case study in ethics also. That recently Netala bypass was approved in the Bhagirathi eco-sensitive zone in Uttarakhand. Now, it is fragile ecosystem. We have witnessed the instances of flood, landslide, and whatnot in the recent times. The problem is that if more and more projects are approved for these areas, the instances of such kind of disasters increases. So that's why we need to maintain a balance between the sustainability of our ecosystem and the economic development. This was approved because it is a part of Char Dham road project. Next is related to public consultation and environment impact assessment. Understand, let's say there is a project. For that project, before that project, two important things are there. One is environment impact assessment. That means what will be the impact of this project on the environment. Second is social impact assessment. What will be the impact on the society? Will it lead to displacement? Will it lead to any kind of stress on the people? So these kind of assessment are being done before the approval of any project. But recently, the Environment Ministry exempted atomic, critical, and strategic mineral exploration projects from the public consultation. Now, again, there is a conflict. On one side, we need to focus on our mineral security because we are heavily dependent on imports, especially on China. We have roughly 8% of the global reserve, but right now our production is only 1%. That's why we have to import. So somehow we have to increase the production. But what happens is that sometimes because of the rules and regulation, these projects are delayed. And therefore, our dependency is sustained. So that's why the Environment Ministry has specified that for these kind of mining projects, the public consultation is not required. Again, it will be criticized on the ground of environmental aspects, but it has been approved on the grounds that we somehow need to make sure that we are having sufficient production of minerals. Otherwise, it is going to put a pressure on our imports. Next is related to environment audit rules. Understand it in a very simple sense. Auditing basically means whether you are following the rules and regulations properly. Okay, you are sitting in your room now. Your parents think that you are studying. You also think that you are studying, but you are watching YouTube. You are, let's say, watching 100 strategies to crack UPSC in 2 months. Okay. Now, they should be auditing. Auditing simply means they should be impartial inquiry whether you are actually doing it or not. So previously, government authorities were auditing all these things. For example, CPCB, SPCB, they were auditing whether industries are following the rules and regulations or not, or are they polluting the environment. Problem was that they had limited capacity. So now, as per these new rules, the independent third party auditors are allowed. What does that mean? So you were studying in your room, and if your parents are going to send your brother, chances are your brother will say the truth. Why so? Because a brother is not directly involved, so that is third party auditing. If they are going to ask you, you will say yes, I was studying. Getting my point? So there will be third party independent audit, which is not directly involved in the industrial process. Now, these auditors will be certified by the authorities for the verification. That means only certified auditors will be able to audit. Just like for the accounting purpose, we have CA. For these environmental auditing, we have separate team of auditors. Okay, these environmental auditors will be certified and registered by the Environment Audit Designate Authority, which is notified by Environment. Next is related to One Sanrakshan Evam Samvardhan Amendment Rules 2025. Conservation and basically rules related to that. So recently 2025 rules were notified, which amended the 2023 rules. Now just see the three major changes. Again, you cannot remember each and everything, but see the major changes. First is related to compensatory afforestation. What does that mean? You want to set up industry here. There are trees in this area. You are going to cut those trees. Now, what you will have to do, you will have to plant trees somewhere else. This is basically referred as compensatory afforestation. Okay. Previously, there was a requirement that the compensatory afforestation land need to be granted the protected status. Now, the government has said that either that land can be transferred to the forest department, or it can be notified as a forest area. The land for the compensatory afforestation, either it can be given to the forest department and then forest department will take care of it. Okay, or it can be granted the protected area status. That is first thing. Second thing, in case of critical and strategic minerals were there, we explored minerals, now the land is barren. What need to be done? So in case of these areas, in case of mining of these areas, the compensatory afforestation on the degraded forest land must be at least double the diverted area. 100 hectare was diverted for this purpose. Now you need to plant trees on 200 hectare. That is the meaning. This thing. Third is working permission. See, previously, without central approval, states were not authorized to continue the project. Now, the central government has said that initial working permission can be granted by the state government. So these are three major changes. This says that yes, land can be either given to forest department or protected status. A, you have to plant trees on double the land which was used for that purpose, that mining project, and state can grant permission. Next is green credit program. In a very simple sense, understand two terms are there. One is carbon credit and one is green credit. Carbon credit basically means you are doing something which has reduced carbon emission. Green credit basically means you are doing something which is good for environment. Okay, so recently the Environment Ministry has issued a new methodology for green credit. These are issued as a part of these green credit rules of 2023, which are enacted under EPA 1986. Now, what does these rules say? Understand. Let's say you used some area. Now you are planting trees in some other area. Okay. Now you planted 100 trees. After 5 years, we are going to evaluate those areas. So after 5 years of restoration on the degraded forest land, there should be minimum 40% canopy density. So let's say you cultivated 10 trees. I'm oversimplifying. At least 4 must survive. Okay. 40% canopy density basically means it's not that okay you have planted absolutely new tree. They should have good density. That's first thing. And for each new tree after 5 years, a 5-year-old tree, you will get one green credit. This is non-tradable, you cannot sell it, and it is non-transferable, you cannot transfer it to someone else. Okay, what is the difference between green credit and carbon credit? Carbon credit basically means you are reducing carbon emission. Green credit basically means you are doing something which is beneficial for environment. So it is a broader term, it is a part of that term itself. Okay, so carbon credit basically means you are focusing only on reducing carbon emission. Green credit basically means you are doing carbon emission, reducing carbon emission, plus you are doing some other aspect also. For example, let me give a very basic example. Uh, let's say you are installing a new technology in your factory which will reduce carbon emission. This is good for uh, carbon credit, but in addition to that, you have also cultivated 10 trees. So that is something which is going to help the environment in longer run. That is part of green credit. Okay, next is national policy on geothermal energy. Geo plus thermal, just remember it is we are trying to utilize the heat of earth. Okay, so in that context, recently first national policy on geothermal energy was notified by the MNRE to boost the clean energy transmission. So we are going to utilize the heat from the crust of earth. What is the issue? It requires huge amount of investment, technology is required. As of now, we only have one such project of geothermal energy, that means producing energy from the heat of the earth, and that is in Manuguru in Telangana. Next is related to national biofoundry network and bio E3 policy. First thing first, what is this biofoundry? It is a network of labs. Okay, this is lab 1, this is lab 2, this is lab 3, this is lab 4. Now these labs are interconnected, so they can share resources with each other, they can share the discoveries with each other. This is nothing but a biofoundry network. Okay, so let's say you have some idea. Now the objective is to scale up that proof of the concept project into a viable biotechnological solution. You have some idea, let's build that idea, let's create a product from that which is going to solve some problem. Okay, that is the objective of national biofoundry network. So in a very simple sense, it provides the shared infrastructure, for example, startups, SME industries, or academia. Let's go back to some old time, let's say 10 to 15 years ago. Not everyone had computers, so we had a concept of computer labs. You can go there, you can use computer facilities, and this is how similarly we are developing the biofoundry network. It is a part of this bio E3 policy. What is bio E3? Biotechnology for economy, environment, and employment. That simply means we are going to create good products which are going to help the environment, which are going to help the economy, and they will create employment also. What is the objective? To double the India's bioeconomy to $300 billion by 2030. Double basically means right now it is 150. Okay. Next is related to river pollution. So recently CPCB released a report, and that has shown that there is not much improvement in our rivers in terms of pollution. That means they are still polluted. Now in that context, there is one term, polluted river stretch. In a very simple sense, it is a continuous area of pollution. So two or more polluted locations identified on a river in a continuous sequence, they are considered as a stretch. And in this case, the BOD, that is biological oxygen demand, is quite high, that is 3 milligrams per liter. Now understand, what does that mean? See, if there will be pollution, there will be organic matter in this. The bacteria need oxygen to degrade this organic material. Higher the organic material, higher will be the demand of oxygen. This is referred as BOD. Next is Great Nicobar Island project. See, we are developing infrastructure in Great Nicobar, but again there is a conflict between environment and economic development. So there is a criticism that these projects will violate the Forest Right Act of the people. That's why the the Tribal Affairs Ministry have sought a report on this allegation. Okay, now what we are developing a transshipment port, we are developing airport, and we are developing a township and power plant. Why it is so important? Because it is close to Malacca Strait. So this is India, this is Andaman and Nicobar, and this is Strait of Malacca. It is in close proximity, and that's why we need to make sure that this is well developed. This is an important choke point, and it is very important for China. That's why we are using it as a defense mechanism. Next is related to dam safety. See, in our country, roughly 6,000 dams are there, but more than 80% are 25 years old. That means they are in quite old condition. So we need to make sure that they are repaired on time so that we can prevent any kind of disaster because of it. Because of their old structure, they are quite vulnerable to glacial lake outburst. What is this GLOF? Glacial lake outburst flood. Understand? This is a lake in the glacier. Okay. Now, because of temperature, what is happening? The water is increasing. What will happen? There will be too much water, and therefore it will break the boundary of the lake. Okay. And then suddenly there will be flood. This is referred as GLOF. Now, if there will be flood, and let's say this was the lake, this was passage, there was a dam. If there will be flood, this dam is old, it will not be able to hold this much water, and therefore it will be destroyed, and subsequently it will lead to loss of life and property. That is the risk. For the dam safety, we have NDSA, that is National Dam Safety Authority, but the problem is still there: poor maintenance, seismic vulnerability, that means they are prone to earthquakes, and siltation is there. Next is disaster risk financing. See, because of climate change, the risk of disasters is increasing, and to deal with this thing, we need resources. So, disaster risk financing simply means how we are going to arrange resources for these disasters. In this context, you can use one concept, that is cat bond. But before that, why it was in use? So recently, Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister requested the 16th Finance Commission to reframe the disaster risk index to more accurately reflect the unique vulnerabilities of hilly states. In a very simple sense, he is saying that the hilly states are more vulnerable, and that's why the Finance Commission should focus on allocating more resources to these states so that they can deal with the disasters. In this context, there is one term, cat bond. Cat basically means not Katrina. It is, in a very simple sense, catastrophe. So if there will be catastrophe, this money can be used. Bond is nothing but a piece of paper. So let's try to understand it this way. Let's say the issuer has issued a bond and I purchased it. This is me. Me and myself. Okay. Okay, so I purchased this bond. Now what happened? If there will be any kind of disaster, I will be able to use this money. That is the simple concept of cat bonds. Okay. Now, as far as disasters are concerned, we have a Disaster Management Act of 2005. Please remember one thing, that disaster management is a separate topic in your GS paper 3 means. So please cover it properly. Okay. Next is related to state energy efficiency. Which state is more efficient in energy utilization? So this is index released by BEE, that is Bureau of Energy Efficiency and Alliance for Energy Efficient Economy. So as per that, Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh are top performers. Next is monsoon related extreme weather event. So as the name suggests, because of climate change, the extreme events related to monsoon has increased. For example, various flood and drought instances. In fact, now what is happening is that simultaneously certain areas face the problem of flood and certain areas face the problem of flood and drought. So this reflect the vulnerability. Next is state of global water resources. So this is a report by World Meteorological Organization, and it shows that the glacier melting has increased and the drought frequency has increased. Again, this is a reflection of changing climate. Next is Production Gap Report 2025. So this report has been released by Stockholm Environment Institute. Let me give you a very simple example. Let's say we have to prevent the temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Okay, this is the target for our Earth. And keeping that target in mind, let's say we are allowed to use only 100 kg of coal. I'm just oversimplifying it. But what is happening is that most of the countries are using more than 200 kg. That means more than what they are allowed, and that's why there is overproduction. And that is why what will happen? We will not be able to limit this temperature rise below 1.5 degree. So there is overproduction, plus there are fossil fuel subsidies. Even though countries are saying that they are shifting towards cleaner fuel, subsidies are still continued. Why subsidies are continued? Because of their huge dependency. Understand, for example, countries like India, we are still dependent on coal. Roughly 50% of our electricity is produced through coal. Government need to play a significant role in that. Next is gray rhino event. See, there is a term black swan event. It's quite rare, unpredictable. For example, COVID is there. No one knew it is going to be there. Okay, that is black swan event. Okay, what is gray rhino event? Gray rhino event basically means those events which show us the sign that they are going to happen, but we ignored them. Just like you ignore the advice of revision. Okay, so gray rhino event reflect those events which are bound to happen. Everyone know that they will happen, but still we choose to ignore them. For example, if we are not focusing on the drainage system in urban area, there will be risk of urban flood. Everyone know that. If we are involved in deforestation, it will lead to landslide, it will lead to a lot of other issues. Everyone know that. Still, we choose to ignore that. So this is reflected as gray rhino event. It refers to highly probable but neglected crisis. For example, you are not reading newspaper and you are preparing for civil services. This is gray rhino event. Why so? Because again, newspaper is going to be very crucial for your answer writing, for your mains, for your essay, everything, for your interview as well. Now every day you are ignoring this thing, so chances of failure are quite high. You know this thing, still you are ignoring this. Okay, so that is it. Next is related to super typhoon Regasa. So recently Philippines was in news because of this thing. Now what is super typhoon? In a very simple sense, very high speed. Typhoons are known as very different in different areas. For example, hurricane, cyclone, typhoon, Willy Willy. So they are known as Willy Willy in Australia. Typhoon in western North Pacific Ocean. In Indian Ocean we call them cyclone, and in North Atlantic we call them hurricanes. Okay. Next is certain hydroelectric projects which were in use. So these are the projects, these are the rivers on which they are being set up. I have just mentioned the list. Please go through it. Next is Barren Island volcano. So it is the only active volcano of our country. Why it was in use? Because it was erupted. Where it is situated in Andaman Islands. Now we are going to cover the environment section. First topic is related to 10 years of SDG. What is SDG? Sustainable Development Goals. Now understand, before SDG we had MDG, Millennium Development Goals. In 2015 SDG were adopted. Target is that by 2030 countries will try to achieve it. How many goals are there? 17 goals are there. How many targets are there? 169 targets are there. What is the objective? Objective is to achieve them by 2030. Now the concept of sustainable development was given by Brundtland Commission in its report Our Common Future. So these are some of the important things you need to keep in mind. 1987 Brundtland Commission report, and the objective is to achieve these targets by 2030. 17 goals are there, 169 targets are there. In India, Niti Aayog is the apex organization for SDG. Okay, now as per the global index 2025 index, Finland is on top position and the score is 87. Only 17% of SDG targets are on track to be achieved by 2030. That itself shows that yes, we are lagging behind and we will not be able to achieve SDG with this speed. And especially after pandemic, we have lost a lot of progress. Okay, so these are some of the important things. Now, as far as India is concerned, for the first time in the 2025 report, we are in top 100. Our ranking is, I think, 99. Yes, it is 99, and our score is 67. This is about global index. At national level also, there is a index released by Niti Aayog. As per that index, states like Kerala and I think Uttarakhand, they are on the top position, and states like Bihar and Jharkhand, they are on bottom position. Okay, Niti Aayog is the apex organization for the implementation. Now there is one more term, localization of SDG. In a very simple sense, using these SDG and trying to implement them in the local areas according to the circumstances. For example, giving the target to the panchayats and the local institutions. That is referred as localization of SDG. Next is related to cold desert biosphere reserve. This biosphere reserve was in use because UNESCO has included it in the list of Man and Biosphere Reserve program. This is World Network of Biosphere Reserve. So this is the cold desert biosphere reserve. This is in Himachal Pradesh. This is a list of biosphere which are included, which are from India and included in the UNESCO list. Just go through it. Okay, so as of now, there are 13 biosphere from India which are in the list of UNESCO. Okay, recently, Sao Tome and Principe, it is the Central African country, and it became the first one to have its entire territory designated as a biosphere reserve. That simply means the entire area of that country is now declared as a biosphere reserve. This is a first country uh, where its area has been declared as a biosphere reserve. So this can be asked. Just understand one more thing. Examiner can confuse you with the continent also, because it is not that much a known country. Okay, at least I did not know about it. Okay, now whenever a particular biosphere is included in the UNESCO list, that does not mean it is permanent. It can be reviewed, and UNESCO can withdraw the designation also if it is not conserved properly. Next is related to environment accounting on forest. In a very simple sense, it is a report card of forest which is released by MOSPI, that is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. As per this report card, our forest cover is 21.76% of our area, and the top states in terms of forest gain are Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. Next is related to first greenhouse gas emission intensity target rules. Let me give you a very simple sense. Let's say there is a cement factory. It is emitting carbon. Now the government has given a target that you cannot emit more than that. Let me give you a very simplified sense. Let's say previously it was emitted 70, it was emitting 70 units. Now government has given a target, you cannot emit more than 70. More than 50. Previous emission was 70. Now target is you cannot emit more than 50. What if someone emit more than that? They will have to pay a fine. That is the concept of this first greenhouse gas emission intensity target rules. That means how much you can emit, how much greenhouse gases you can emit. This is a target specified by the government for the 4 sectors: aluminium, cement, paper and pulp, and chlor-alkali. Now, examiner can trap you by saying that it has been specified for 10 sectors, 3 sectors. You need to remember these sectors as well, and the total sectors are 4 sectors. Okay, for that the target is specified. They need to reduce the GHG emission. What if they are not able to? They will have to pay a fine. Who is going to ensure that they are complying? It is TPCB. Now, how under which rules they are issued? So they are issued as per the provisions of Carbon Credit Trading Scheme 2023. Okay. Now, if someone, let's say in on the previous example we said that the target is 50. What if someone is emitting only 40? Then they can capitalize this credit of 10. They can sell in a very simple sense. If you are emitting more, you will have to pay fine. If you are emitting less, you are given incentive to cut down your emission, and you can utilize that. For that purpose, there will be carbon credit certificate. Who is going to issue those certificate? It is BEE. That is it. Next is ozone depletion. Now understand in a very simple sense, ozone in the stratosphere, it is good. It is going to block UV. In a troposphere, it is a pollutant, a short-lived pollutant. So recently, CPCB specified that NCR region is one of the worst affected in terms of this ozone pollution. In stratosphere, it blocked the UV radiation. In troposphere, it is a pollutant. Next is related to the national level pollution response exercise, and this is net polar X. So this is conducted by ICG. In a very simple sense, what is the level of pollution? This is conducted by Indian Coast Guard. Okay, next is new Ramsar sites in Bihar. So Bihar had previously 3 sites. Now 2 more sites have been designated as the Ramsar site. What is Ramsar site? In a very simple sense, to protect the wetlands, there is a convention, Ramsar Convention. Sites are allocated. This is status. So this is for wetland conservation. Ramsar is a place in Iran. So 2 lakes. One is Gokul Reservoir and second is Udaipur Lake. They are new Ramsar site. Now, don't get confused. This Udaipur is one more place in Rajasthan that is also known for lakes, but this one is in Bihar. Now, all over India, there are 93 sites. In Bihar, a total 5 sites are there after this. Next is various initiative for the conservation. Nothing much is happening in this case. For example, Project Dolphin has been announced, phase 2 of the Project Dolphin. As far as India is concerned, we are having 2 type of dolphin. One is Gangtik River Dolphin and second is Indus River Dolphin. Then there is a project for the conservation of sloth bear. Then there is a project for Gadial. Just a second. Then there is a project for the conservation of tiger outside the tiger reserve. These are some of the important developments which has been announced by the Environment Ministry. Next is related to global forest resources assessment. In a very simple sense, what is the status of forest at global level? This is released by FAO. What is FAO? Food and Agriculture Organization. It is released after every 5 years. So as per this report, roughly 32% of the global area is forest area. In case of India, if you remember, the national report highlighted roughly 22% of the area is forest. At global level, roughly 32%. And nearly half of the forests are situated in the tropics. Majority of the large forest area are situated in Europe. If we talk about India's forest cover globally, so our contribution is roughly 2% of the global forest area. And in ranking, we are on 9th position. So that simply means our ranking has improved to one position. That simply means our forest cover is increasing. Next is state of finance for the forest. In a very simple sense, for our forest target, how much money we need. So this is released by UNEP, and this reflect a finance gap. Finance gap basically means this is the amount of money we need, this is the amount of money we have, there is a gap between this, and this is a finance gap of $216 billion. For what purpose? To achieve the forest goals by 2030. Next is related to IUCN World Conservation Congress. As the name suggests, it is for conservation by IUCN. It was organized in Abu Dhabi in UAE. Okay, now understand 2-3 important things. This conference basically focused on the policy on the synthetic biology and nature conservation. So for the first time, this issue was discussed. So just remember, this was discussed during this Abu Dhabi conference. And it also emphasized on ecocide. Ecocide basically means eco plus, and eco simply means environment, side basically means killing. So deliberate damage to the environment, that is referred as ecocide, and that has been recognized as a crime against ICC, National Criminal Court. Next is related to update to IUCN red list of threatened species. Again, nothing much. I mean, you cannot remember each and every factual information of this kind, but IUCN recently updated its threatened list, and therefore 12 Indian bird species, their status has been modified. Now majority of the bird species are facing problem. They are facing the problem of loss of habitation, and that's why there is a degradation. Next is first IUCN green status of species assessment for the tiger released. Now understand this concept, green status. In a very simple sense, let's say some species is facing the risk of extinction. Now steps are taken to conserve that. So are we able to recover those species? How much is the progress in case of recovery? That is being reflected through this green status. Green status basically means whether we are able to recover those species or not. Through our conservation effort, whether we are able to recover. So as far as tiger is concerned, they are critically depleted. Depleted basically means they are facing the loss they are facing various issues. Now what is the objective of this green status? So this was launched in 2012. Red list is for extinction, who are facing extinction. Green status basically means to what extent we have recovered them. Next is related to status of elephants in India. So it is SAI, and so this is a report which basically reflect the elephant population. So India have roughly 60% of the global elephant population. Majority of them are in Western Ghat, then in Northeast Hills, and in Brahmaputra floodplains. Okay, if we talk about states, Karnataka have highest population, followed by Assam and Tamil Nadu. Next is related to Indian wolf. Just a second. So recently Indian wolf was in news because IUCN, that is International Union for Conservation of Nature, for the first time they have put Indian wolf into a separate category. Again, nothing much as of now, just go through it and understand that a separate category has been specified. Now how examiner can trap you, even though the possibility of trapping is quite low because the name itself is Indian wolf. Had it been some other wolf, then examiner could have trapped that, okay, whether it is found in India or not. The name itself is Indian wolf, so nothing much can be asked from this point. Next is draft paper on camels. Camels population has got down by 75%. That's why government is considering a national camel sustainability initiative. That's it. Next is India's dugong conservation reserve. So we have a dugong. Dugong basically means sea cow. So the India's first dugong conservation reserve is in Park Bay. This was set up by Tamil Nadu government. Why it was in news recently? Because IUCN, that is International Union for Conservation of Nature, they have basically recognized this effort for the conservation, and that's why it was uploaded, and that's why it was in news. Now understand, dugong is the only marine mammal that is dependent on the seagrass, and that's why it is referred as sea cow. Cow basically means it is eating grass. From that perspective, it is sea cow. Next is related to Central Asian Mammal Initiative. Name itself is self-explanatory. Central Asian countries are coming together for the conservation of the mammals. So this is not some new initiative. This was launched in 2014 during the COP11 of CMS. What is CMS? A Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Animals. Why it was in news? Because these countries have decided to protect 17 species. Again, no need to remember, mug it up. Just remember, it is old initiative. What examiner can do, examiner can set a trap that this was launched in 2025. No, it is not old initiative. Why it was in news? Because now these countries have specified that we have to take steps, collaborative effort to protect these kind of species. Next is early warning for all, that is EW for all. In a very simple sense, the countries are collaborating with each other to develop early warning system, so that by 2027 we have early warning for all the major disasters. See why it is important. With early warning, we can evacuate people and we can minimize the loss of life and livelihood. From that perspective, it is important. So that is announced through WMO, World Meteorological Organization. Next is Arabian Sea mini worm pool. Understand it this way. This is India. This is mini worm pool. In a very simple sense, the temperature, warm basically means the temperature is slightly higher. So this is usually developed along the coast of Kerala before the arrival of monsoon, and this help in facilitation of monsoon. Next is related to MATRI 2. So understand, it is going to be our new research station in Antarctica, which is going to be operational by 2029. Now, in Antarctica, this is going to be our fourth one. What was the first one? First one was Dakshin Gangotri, and it has been discontinued. Later, two new stations were opened. One is Matri, and this is going to be Matri 2. And second is Bharti. Which organization is responsible for these stations? It is NCPOR, that is National Center for Polar and Oceanic Research. It is under Ministry of Earth Sciences. That IMD, which we have discussed, India Meteorological Department, IMD, that is also under MOES, Ministry of Earth Sciences. Next is related to mud volcano. So India's only mud volcano, that is in Andaman and Nicobar Island. Recently it was in news because it erupted after 20 years, and that's why it was in news. With this, the environment section is over.
COP basically refers to Conference of Parties. UNFCCC refers to United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Now understand, Brazil was the host of this COP30. It was hosted in Belém, and it coincided with the 10th anniversary of Paris Agreement. Now understand 2-3 things. Paris Agreement was COP21. That was in Paris. Now, what were the major development or major outcome? Before that, understand, this was COP30. COP basically refers to Conference of Parties. It was COP20 of Kyoto Protocol. Same meeting was there. It was COP's CMA7 of Paris Agreement. That is a Conference of Parties on the meeting of Paris Agreement. Okay. So that means after Paris Agreement, this was 7th such meeting. Overall, in terms of duration, 10 years has passed because that was in 2015, and now we are in 2025. Okay. Meetings have been 7. Okay. Now what was the main objective? Objective was Belém mission to 1.5C. Understand it very carefully. It was organized in Belém. Objective is to control the temperature rise to 1.5 degree. Okay. Now there is a troika. Troika basically means host. So who is going to be the host? So last year, Azerbaijan was host. Brazil was the host of this time, and next is going to be, I think, in this case when we are referring to COP31, ideally it should have been Turkey. If we talk about 29, 30, and 31, it should have been Turkey. Please verify this because we are talking about troika of 3 years: COP29, COP30, and COP31. COP31 will be hosted by Turkey. So please verify this thing. I'm not able to recall it properly. Next is a global implementation accelerator. As the name suggests, the objective is on implementation. So the objective is to provide support to those countries who are implementing their NDC. What is NDC? Nationally determined contribution. Understand the concept of NDC. Every country will specify their target that they are going to take these steps to deal with the climate change. So every country will specify it, and then this is how we are planning to tackle the issue of climate change. Then there is a tropical forest forever facility. So this under this there is a funding of $125 billion. What will be done? This funding will be given to the tropical countries. Okay, why this will be given? So that they can maintain and expand the tropical and subtropical forest. Okay. Out of that funding, let's say country received 100 rupee. Out of that, 20 rupee need to be given to the local communities. That simply means we are ensuring people participation in this forest conservation. Okay, so this initiative is by Brazil, Indonesia, DRC, and China. India have recently joined this as observer, so that's why it is important. Next is a systematic observation impact bond. Understand the concept of impact bond. Impact bond basically means if this impact is going to happen, then only you will recover that money. Let me give you a very basic example. Let's say a bond was issued. The investor is going to invest money into that. They will receive money. Let's say the bond was issued for construction of toilets to improve the hygiene. So they will receive returns and the hygiene standards are improved. That is impact bond. So impact bond is outcome based. Hygiene was the outcome based financing mechanism where private investors provide a capital for social and environmental program, and they are repaid by the government. They will be repaid on outcome or on impact if there is a clearly defined measurable outcomes are achieved. Okay. So this was announced as a part of COP30, and the initial capitalization target is of $200 million by 2036. So these were some of the important outcome. Now the magazine have lot of names, and initially it will not be possible for you to remember. So initially just try to cover the major parts, and subsequently in further reading you can add on. Now, what was India's stance in this COP30? So first thing first, there is a grouping G77. Initially it was of 77. But now it consists of roughly 134 developing countries. Then there is LMDC, like-minded developing countries. So it is a grouping of countries including India, China, Bolivia, Cuba, Egypt, and Iran. Understand, when it comes to climate change, India and China both have same stance. When it comes to climate change, they are together. For example, there is a carbon border adjustment mechanism, carbon tax by European Union. Both India and China oppose that. Okay. Then there is a grouping, another grouping, basic. The name itself is self-explanatory: Brazil, South Africa, India, and China. Okay. Now, what was our position in this? So first we re-emphasize this CBDR-RC. Understand, our stance is that the environment was not polluted equally by developing and developed countries. Developed countries utilizes more resources. They polluted the environment, so it is their responsibility to help more. This is CBDR, common but differential responsibility. Common responsibility is there that we have to protect it, but it cannot be same for everyone. Why it cannot be same for everyone? Because developed countries have exploited more resources, so they should share more burden in solution. Then there is a climate finance as a legal obligation. India's stance is that the Article 9 of Paris Agreement explicitly talks about the climate finance. That means the developed countries, see, just understand this point, developed countries will provide technology and finance to whom? Developing countries. For what? For dealing with the climate change. That is it. You just need to understand this thing. That is our stance. Rest everything is around this philosophy only. And there is we have criticized the unilateral trade measures. Unilateral basically means one-sided. So we have discussed, for example, carbon border adjustment mechanism (CBAM) by European Union. This is nothing but protectionism. We have criticized it, and we have also emphasized the technology transfer already discussed. Okay. Uh, Apart from that, India provided strong support for multilateralism and praised the Brazilian presidency for leadership rooted in the spirit of Mutirao. In a very simple sense, inclusion and balance. Okay, so you can use this in essay again in prelims. Of course, there is a low possibility of this information, but in mains you can use it. Now, as far as climate finance is concerned, India, along with 12 other countries, developing countries, they announced a plan to develop regional platform for climate finance and nature finance. See, developing countries are struggling to deal with the climate change. They need technology and they need finance. Okay. Now, this was announced during COP30. Objective is to mobilize the resources. Developing countries are participating in this, including India. Okay. What is the broader significance? To arrange the financial resources so that these countries can cope with the climate change. Next is urban air pollution in India. So, because of NCR issue, this entire thing was in news. Now, understand we have a statutory body, Commission for Air Quality Management. This implemented GRAP. What is GRAP? Graded Response Action Plan. First, understand action plan basically means steps we are going to take. Response, graded response action plan. What is graded in this case? That if the pollution will be of this level, we are going to take this step. If pollution is more severe, we are going to take these steps. If pollution will be very severe, we are going to take these steps. That is basically referred as GRAP. Okay, now understand this was introduced by the Supreme Court directions in MC Mehta versus Union of India case. Now, for clean air, we have National Clean Air Program. Objective is to reduce the PM, that is particulate matter concentration, by 40% by 2026 in the major cities. And we have Commission for Air Quality Management. This is statutory body for air quality in NCR region. Next is related to our renewable energy growth. Understand why it was in use. So, roughly 51.5% of our total electricity demand was met through renewable energy. That simply means we are now shifting towards renewable energy. Okay. Now, one question might be there in your mind. If we are doing so well in renewable energy, why we are shifting towards nuclear? Because in the budget of 2025, the government had announced a vision of 100 gigawatt of nuclear energy by 2047. Subsequently, Shanti Bill was also introduced. Why so? The problem with renewable energy, especially wind and solar energy, is that we cannot control the intensity. In winters, we cannot control the sun. So if we have produced it, we need to store it. So we need to invest money in the storage infrastructure. And that's why we are exploring other avenues of energy, that is nuclear energy. Okay. Now, renewable energy is energy from those sources where replenishment is faster than the consumption. Okay, that will be considered as renewable energy. What is our target? Target is 50% of the installed capacity by 2030. This is explained in Panchamrit target. Panchamrit basically refers to 5 target which was specified in Glasgow summit. Okay. How much is our installed non-fossil capacity? That is roughly 51.1%. In terms of global ranking, India is 4th in renewable energy, 4th in wind, 3rd in solar, and 3rd in ethanol production. 4433. And this is our non-fossil fuel. So roughly we generate 8 gigawatt through nuclear energy and roughly this much gigawatt through other sources. In these sources, wind, solar are the major component. Next is related to seed management. Understand that draft was released And that's why this entire issue was in news. Previously, we also have Seed Act of 1966. That act provided for registration of limited varieties only. Now, this draft says that we have to register all the varieties which are sold. So that is one difference. Second is, as mentioned earlier, that registration was not mandatory for all. Now registration is mandatory for every seed which is to be sold. Previously, quality assurance was for limited items. Now there will be strict norms for quality assurance. For that, we have a platform named as Sathi portal. Sathi. So just remember this Sathi portal. Farmers can save, exchange, and sell seeds. To ensure traceability, we have Sathi portal. Okay. Now understand, this is just a draft, so you need not to mug up everything, but just understand that government is trying to upgrade the norms related to the seeds. Okay. Previously, the Seed Act of 1966, it did not adequately address the hybrid, genetically modified, or biotechnology based seeds. Why not? Because at that time, of course, these were not the that much prominent product. Now they are. So of course, the draft bill talks about that. You need not to mug up everything. And last is related to the seed replacement rate. Understand? If we are going to use certified seeds, the productivity will be quite high. But farmers do not use certified seeds, they use seeds from the last crop. Why so? Because they don't have that much money. 86% farmers are small and marginal farmers. So that's why they prefer to use the old seed from the last crop. And that is why our productivity is quite low. So the seed replacement rate is a ratio of use of certified seeds to the traditional seeds. If we are going to use more and more certified seeds, the ratio will be higher. But in our country, it is quite low because we use more traditional seeds. That is the meaning. In certain cases, it is below 25 to 30%. That means only 25 to 30% farmers, they use these kind of certified seeds. And that's why the productivity will be low. Next is related to vultures. So recently, Wildlife Institute of India released the first all India assessment and monitoring of endangered vulture species. This is first such thing. So just remember, these are the 4 critically endangered vulture varieties: white-rumped, Indian vulture, slender-billed, and red-headed. Next is related to cheetah translocation project. Now understand, we are planning to translocate cheetah from Botswana. Okay, under this project, cheetah, how many cheetah? 8. This was launched in 2022. So we have already imported cheetah from Namibia to Kono National Park and from the South Africa. Okay, 8 were from Namibia and 12 were from South Africa. So we are translocating African cheetahs. Why so? Because cheetah became extinct in our country, I think, in 1952. Okay, who is going to implement it? It will be implemented by NTCA. What is NTCA? National Tiger Conservation Authority. It is a statutory body as per Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. And who is the chairperson of NTCA? Environment Minister is the chairperson of this. Next is Supreme Court direction for the tiger reserve protection. Again, just remember or just try to understand it logically. If Supreme Court has given direction, what will be the crux of those directions? That protect the core area, do not try to encroach the core area. That's it. So tiger safari restrictions, they are prohibited in core area, and they are prohibited in the night in the core areas. They are allowed only in the known forest or degraded forest land in the buffer zone. Some activities are allowed in buffer zone, but in core area we have to keep it intact. That's it. Rest everything is quite common. Next is related to Supreme Court recalls judgment on ex post facto environmental clearance. Let me simplify. Let's say there is a project. Now, this project has not received environmental clearance. The project was started. If it seek environmental clearance after starting, and if the government allow clearance after starting, this is referred as ex post facto. That means in later date the clearance was given. So in one Shakti judgment, the court declared that such an ex post facto environmental clearance, they are not allowed. in one Shakti judgment. This is judgment of I think April or May. Now the court has recalled that judgment. Recalled basically means said that this was wrong judgment. Why the court said that this was wrong judgment? The court said that in previous instances, the court has allowed ex post facto clearance in certain exceptional cases. For example, just remember this case in D. Swami versus Karnataka State Pollution Control Board. The court allowed the ex post facto approval. Okay, three things. Ex post facto means project has started, now environment clearance was given. Ideally, it should have been done earlier. In one Shakti judgment, court said no, you should not give ex post facto approval. Now, court said that one Shakti judgment was wrong. Why so? Because in past cases, the court has allowed ex post facto approval in certain cases. Okay, that is the entire issue. Next is a dump site remediation accelerator program. Garbage is dumped. This is dump site. We want to reclaim that. We want to address that problem. So for that, this program is launched under Swachh Bharat Mission. Duration is 1 year. We don't want waste sites. So what we are doing? What is the objective? Lakshya zero dump site. So what we are doing? Two terms are there. One is bio-capping. See, cap basically means layer. So there's a garbage site. We are trying to cap it with natural trees and vegetation. That is bio-capping. So converting dump site into natural environment. That is one thing. By covering them with a layer of soil and vegetation, creating a natural cap. Cap basically means upper kind of layer is being created over that dump site. Second is biomining. In a very simple sense, mining is being done with the help of microorganism. What kind of mining? So those dump sites have a lot of mineral resources. A lot of resources are there. So we are using microorganisms to extract those resources from the dump sites or from the garbage site. Next is related to Global Reporting Initiative. Just remember this thing. It is an initiative launched by Integrity Matters Checklist. It is a UN endorsed framework for whom? For the companies that they need to disclose their environmental impact in their reports. In a very simple sense, you are a company, how much carbon you are emitting, you need to specify. That's it. This was GRI was established in 1997. It is similar to ESG. What is ESG? Environment, social and governance disclosure covering the economic, environmental and social impact. So this enable the ESG disclosure. There was a question on ESG in the 2025 prelims. Next is Lead It. What is Lead It? Leadership Group for Industry Transition. In a very simple sense, we are focusing on reducing carbon emission in the industry. So recently, during COP30, our environment minister addressed this roundtable. This was jointly announced by India and Sweden. What is the objective? Reduce carbon emission in the industries. Okay. Next is UAE consensus. Just remember, during COP28, the first global stocktake under Paris Agreement was established. Meaning, so Paris Agreement specified that we are going to take steps. Now, what step we have taken? This was first analyzed during this COP28, which was in UAE 2023. In 2024, it was in Azerbaijan. In 2025, it was in Brazil. Okay. So it basically discussed energy transition, like we have to move away from coal and we have to use renewable energy sources. It also discussed about climate finance and global goal. Understand, this is our ideal goal. We want to keep it to 1.5 degree, but of course, various reports have specified that it is very difficult to reach to that target. Okay. Next is UNEP adaptation gap report. So developing countries face this much resource crunch to deal with the adaptation. In a very simple sense, to deal with the climate change, they need money and they don't have that much money. The current funding is only $26 billion and they need per year $300 billion to $365 billion. Next is emission gap report. It is released by UNEP, and as per that, even if the countries the countries which are specifying their national contribution, even if we are able to achieve those targets, we will not be able to keep our temperature rise to 1.5 degree. Temperature rise will be higher than that, and it could be roughly 2.3 to 2.5 degree. Okay. And in terms of absolute increase in emission, absolute basically means overall increase. So India and China have highest absolute increase. But understand why India and China? Because we are two most populated countries. So overall emission is quite high. Our per capita emission is below global average. Let's say, I'm simplifying. We are 100 people, so we are emitting 100 kg. One person per kg. This is our per capita, but it is lower than the global average. This is the meaning. X is a status of the cryosphere report. So cryosphere basically means that part which is frozen. Nothing much is here. It is released by International Cryosphere Climate Initiative. Now, the impact is quite obvious that because of climate change, these uh, particular areas are facing problem. Ice is melting, the top layer is melting, so water level is rising, islands are submerging. Next is Global Cooling Watch Report. Again, it is released by UNEP Cool Coalition. In a very simple sense, our cooling demands are increasing. Why they are increasing? Because of climate change. What is happening? The earth is becoming more warm, and therefore we need more and more cooling. For example, in a very simplified sense, we need more and more AC. So it emphasizes that the cooling demand is going to increase by 3 times by 2050. Again, no need to mug up, just understand this is quite logical. We also need to focus on passive cooling. See, AC is active cooling. We have to install AC. Trees are passive cooling, they will have cooling impact. So we have to focus on these things. We have to focus on urban planning. Then we have to focus on low energy cooling, those initiatives which are not going to consume much energy. And we also have to focus on the rapid HFC phase down. Understand, TFC were there. TFC had adverse impact on the ozone layer. So that's why Vienna Convention was there and Montreal Protocol was there to reduce a CFC. So from CFC we shifted to HFC. What is the problem with HFC? HFC are not depleting ozone layer, but they are GHG. What is GHG? Greenhouse gas emission. So now we want to phase down the GHG as well. For that there was Kigali Agreement. Okay. Next is Climate Change Performance Index. So this is an index covering roughly 90% of the global emission. Now just understand the performance of India. So India is on 23rd rank. Previously we were on high performer category. Now we are in medium performer category. There is problem is that we don't have any national coal exit timeline. That means by what time we will stop using coal. Why we are not specifying any timeline? Because we started very late. We are a developing country. We need resources for our development. So as per this climate change performance index, it is released by German Watch, New Climate Institute, and Climate Action Network. No country is in the top three, and Denmark is on fourth position, and followed by UK and Morocco. India is on 23rd position, as we have discussed. Next is Climate Risk Index. So climate risk index basically talks about the risk posed by the climate change. So this is also released by German Watch. India is on 15th position, and in the duration of 1995 to 2024, that means in this entire duration we are on ninth position. So we are highly vulnerable to climate change. Next is a State of Food and Agriculture Report of 2025. So this is released by FAO, that is Food and Agriculture Organization. This talks about the land degradation. What is land degradation? In a very simple sense, ability of land has degraded. Now it will not be able to provide those services which it was providing earlier. For example, productivity will decline. So that is degradation in the quality of land. So because of that, there will be 10% lower productivity or crop yield. Now over a period of time, it will adversely impact the food security of the planet. And then there is a Montreal Protocol. So 37th meeting was organized recently. Now understand, Let me simplify this entire issue. There is CFC, chlorofluorocarbon. They depleted ozone. So that's why Vienna Convention was there and Montreal Protocol was there. What was the objective? To replace CFC. So instead of CFC, we started using HFC. What is HFC? Hydrofluorocarbon. Now the problem is that they do not deplete ozone, but they are GHG. What is GHG? Greenhouse gas. So that's why after Kigali, we are trying to phase them down. That is all about this entire thing. Next is Minamata Convention. So understand this is for the mercury. So recently, sixth conference of parties of Minamata Convention was organized in Geneva. The objective is to eliminate mercury-added skin lightening product. You understand? Mercury, when it interact with air, it create methyl mercury, which is highly toxic. So methyl mercury is toxic, and that's why to deal with this issue, we have this Minamata Convention. So, in this recent COP6, the countries agreed to end the use of dental amalgam. Why to use? Why to end this use? In a very simple sense, this usage will produce methyl mercury. It will produce mercury toxin, and which will lead to methyl mercury. Okay, it is highly toxic, and subsequently, what happens is that it is accumulated in the fish. Now, understand. Let's say small fish is there, it is having a concentration of mercury, and a bigger fish is going to eat that fish, small fish. Subsequently, human beings are going to eat. So the concentration will keep on increasing. That is referred as bioaccumulation. So this is Minamata Convention on Mercury. And last is Lake Turkana. Why it was in news? Because of climate change, what has happened? The water level in this lake has gone down, and that's why the earthquake activity has increased. Understand this? This is lake. Water level has gone down. The pressure on the surface of earth or pressure on the crust has gone down. Why? Because less water is there. Consider it like a bowl. So if there will be less water in the bowl, what will happen? The crust will have less pressure, or the bottom of that bowl will have less pressure. So that's why whenever there will be earthquake eruptions, they will be more frequent, because now they will be able to break the pressure. So just understand this concept. And it is the world's largest permanent desert lake and largest alkaline lake. It is situated in Kenya, and the northern tip extend into Ethiopia. Roughly 90% of water into this lake comes from Omo River, which is situated in Ethiopia. Let's have a look at the geographical location of this one. So, uh, just a second. This is Ethiopia, and this is Omo River. Okay, this is Kenya, and this is Lake Turkana. And last is related to volcanic eruption. So Mount Semeru in Indonesia was in news. It is because of volcanic eruption. It is on Java Island, and it is part of Pacific Ring of Fire, which is highly prone to these earthquake and volcanic eruptions. And this is the geographical location of Mount Semeru. This is Java Sea. This is Malaysia. This is Indonesia. And next is Haile Gobi. So this is in Ethiopia. Why it was in news? Because of the eruption, and because of that eruption, there was a visibility issue, and that's why a lot of Indian flights were diverted. So now understand its geographical location. This is Haile Gobi. This is Ethiopia. This is Somalia. This is Djibouti, and this is Eritrea. Red Sea is there. Gulf of Aden is there. Yemen is there. Yemen is under Houthis, which are supported by Iran. This is Saudi Arabia.